Hey, monkey boy. This time I can prove the Israelites weren't black using ChatGPT. Ha!
So that's what we're doing now? Using AI?
What was that? I couldn't hear you over that smoke alarm chirp you people can't hear. Say that again?
Hilarious and original.
Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original.
I said, is that what we're doing now? Using AI to prove who the Israelites are?
That's exactly what we're doing, and I'll show you, boy.
Oh, brother.
2 hours later.
Your room still stinks.
Look at how easily ChatGPT debunks everything you chimps have to say. Ha! You was not kings, and you was not Israelites.
If we're going to use AI, then let's at least use an AI that's trained on the Bible without the Masoretic mistranslations or any agendas and actually tells us the truth.
Liar, there's no such thing.
I'll show you. Let's use Israelite Bot. Go to IsraeliteBot.com and ask the same thing.
Fine, but I bet it'll say the same thing as ChatGPT. No! No!
You see? I told you.
No!
And it shows biblical proof.
No! This is preposterous. I hate this website. It's all wrong.
Stop crying.
Your website sucks.
The Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com.
Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent.
Shalom, Salama, Siemi, Shalom. Greetings for all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you're the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. I welcome you this morning. Now, here's the thing. I'm not starting on out this morning. This is not a talk about reparations. This is not a talk about when we're going to get on out of Egypt. because I will then reference you back to Isaiah 60. And from Isaiah 60, you can go and see there what it states. This is a different captivity. This captivity was always different. This captivity was a captivity and is a captivity that we are going to be forced to flee. And are fleeing and are doing so. Here's what Isaiah 60 says: Arise and shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of Yahuwah is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, which it is, and gross darkness the people, which it is. But Yahuwah shall rise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and the kings to the brightness of thy rising. Lift up thine eyes round about and see all they that gather themselves together. They come to thee. Thy sons shall come from afar, and thy daughter shall be nursed at thy side. Then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. Now, I look at that scripture and I take that scripture with Joel chapter 3, because what is our role, Judah? Are we going to then sell people into slavery? Not really. However, we will say we don't want the people. We want gold, we want silver, we want minerals, we want all the values that had been stolen, all the wealth that had been stolen. And it's funny that this started off this way because, as I stated, don't come on over here. We're going to take things by force, man. Get out of here. And you could tell a lot by a person's avatar, because you have to also understand a lot of these folks that are in here, they've studied these channels for years because they're in the shadows, they're listening. So everything that we say and everything that we discuss, there's a reason why I don't discuss everything here on YouTube. Why? So the enemy has the whole plan and nothing but the plan? No, you need to take the time to come on over to QTUA, come on over and understand what's happening, come on over off YouTube spaces and sign up and volunteer so you can get vetted, so we know who you are. Like I had said, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. My problem literally right now, I'm in a dilemma right now. I need to get about 15 more people into my fall course, because of everything that is happening on the continent right now as we speak. And the timing happens to be impeccable because it's not my timing, it's the Most High's timing. It's not my will, it's his will. He's just telling me, you need to do X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z, and don't sit down. Because sometimes you get overwhelmed because of what he's doing, and it's just like, man, I just need to take a seat. I just need to chill. I just need to. We don't have time for that. And then I get convicted and I said, okay, Father, what is it that you need me to do? How do I need to do things? And you know what? These last 3 weeks have just been honestly awesome because I just sit back and then guess what? I said, Father, if it's your timing, then guess what? A phone call will come, a WhatsApp message will come, an email will come, and then, all right, I need to respond. Be anxious for nothing. But the command is, you're going to need to flee. You can go ahead and do what you think you want to do. I'm not endorsing it. Because right now, the reason I have to start off and what I'm saying, why I'm saying it, is because you're now seeing the end. I'm not giving any dates. I'm not giving anything. You're just seeing the end now. I had said this before. You don't need to ask me when the end is. Look at what they're doing. Don't ask me. I don't know. I can't control anything. When do we get our Exodus 12, 35, and 36? I don't know. You tell me. But all I know is when you see their actions, you actually understand what they're doing because of their actions. I said this before. I am not a legal scholar. I understand scholarly applications. I understand scholarly topics, especially from the realm of business. That's where I have my book in. That's where I have my advanced academic degree. And that's where I'm finishing up this dissertation. So I can give you everything. I can give you the back, the forth, the up and down, everything in that particular arena. I'm just giving you the information with a biblical understanding of what we're seeing and why we're seeing it. So people can't say, oh, I never saw. I don't know what you're saying. Here it is. Look at this. Look at that. Because the reality of our community is that we get so overzealously hyped on literally impractical manners. And it's not to say that the Most High can't do anything fantastic. He can, and he is. But in this time period, it ain't the same as us leaving Egypt, leaving Mitzrayim. This is a different time period. If it was the same, then guess what? Then they would be ready for everything. They would plan for everything. They would understand everything. And they would try to have the plan to beat the Most High. Well, he's the Most High, and he says he doesn't change, and and this and that, and I guess he won't change with his tactics, so we can win. That's what the wicked say. No, the Most High is a man of war. And he's going to crush the enemies. Because why? Because he uses their vanity against them. What's the old saying? If you want to dig a grave, you dig a grave for two. One for them and one for you. Or generally speaking, it's the same grave that you dig for someone, you actually end up what? falling into the ditch. And this is what we have going on right now. I didn't make it. I didn't do it. Matter of fact, I bore zero responsibility for any of this because I didn't vote. Why? They already knew what they were going to do and how they're going to do this. So everybody that got emotionally involved in voting for their oppressor, you're voting for your oppressor, and all the oppressor is going to do is literally follow through on prophecy because they don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to do what they think is what they're doing, but they're actually doing what the Most High's already told them to do. So all they're doing is just what the Most High's telling them to do. So then why? Father, let your will be done because it's your will. No matter what they want to call it in this democracy, demonocracy, whatever. They already had their person. Y'all already knew that. You already knew what the deal was. Y'all already knew that. Has anybody here heard me say anything different? Well, maybe, I don't know, kinda, sorta, not really, I'm not sure. No. Everything is playing out the way that everything is supposed to happen. So folks that got emotionally dragged into the, I will vote for Donald Trump. Okay. Yep. He's coming after us. Why? Because the dragon is trying to swallow up the woman. Why? Because they are scared and they're panicking. Why? Because their order, their dominion, their world is collapsing. Understand what was going on, what is taking place, and why it's taking place. Because it's not just what the U.S. is doing. It's not just what that Eastern Mediterranean nation is doing. It's not just what Russia's doing or Iran. But you better pay attention to what is happening in Europe and China and the rest of the world. Because why? Because the rest of the world has to now adjust because we are waking up both here in the diaspora and over on the continent. You better understand. Don't get it twisted. I told you all, not just me, that's the scriptures. Jacob's been saying this for years. Tayu's been saying this for years, since the Shonda. And the list goes on and on and on, because in this community, we've been saying that. It was always going to come down to this. All of the legal intrigue, all of the legalese. Because why? Because they know that most of our people are not skilled or versed in legal arts. These are the finer points that they try to manipulate our ignorance. Oh, you don't worry about the deportations. I got GTA number 6. You're gonna be here for GTA number 6, maybe. Oh boy, here's the troublemaker. First, I thought I done kicked you out of my chat earlier this morning when you asked for reparations. Oh, that wasn't you? No.
Well, I heard Yakoba, and so I
I said
showed
it too
up.
many times. I said, I mean, them tail twins. Oh, well, Yakoba, I'm glad you're here because this is going to tickle your fancy. This here is going to tickle your fancy. Let me show you this. I got it. Bear with me the first 5 minutes. Did you already see this, Yakoba?
I saw parts of it. I was thinking of doing a show today on this, but I saw some of it. I saw some other stuff too. We could talk about it.
Yeah. Don't worry. I just let me know what time you're going to do your show. I'll jump in on this. I just want to hit some finer points because I want to go over what this means and the economic repercussions that's happening, because a lot of stuff is also going on in Europe with Ursula von der Leyen and their folks. Did you see what was going on there, Yakoba?
No, I haven't.
Okay, yeah, because this was all during that 12-day war. But let me go ahead. Hopefully YouTube doesn't. This is fair use. Fair use. Let me go ahead and get this.
And that question is whether or not Trump can deport Black Americans, African Americans, especially those whose ancestors were enslaved in this country, what many people call foundational Black Americans. And the answer is yes, he certainly can. This case made it much easier. This case gave Trump the tool to do just that. Despite him saying, I heard him say it with my own ears recently, the day after the case came down, or maybe even the same day, that the 14th Amendment was added for the babies of slaves. Well, that is true. However, the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment does not apply just to the descendants of enslaved people. That is not the way it is written. It actually says all persons. So it's not written that way, it's not interpreted that way, and it's not applied that way. All right, so keep that in mind. It's really important. And I believe Trump is saying that so that he can divide the Black and brown community, to say this is not, birthright citizenship is not for you. Basically, it's for Blacks. And you're trying to take something in, you're trying to take something from them. I think that is intended to pit us against each other. And I also think that he's saying that to deceive Blacks into believing that he is for us, when clearly he is not for us. All right? But let's get back to nationwide injunctions, because when the U.S. Supreme Court got rid of nationwide injunctions, that basically gave Trump free rein to do just about anything he wants to do, including deporting American citizens, not just Black Americans. And the basic reason why is because no judge can stop him, not with respect to the entire country. A judge can stop someone who files lawsuit against Trump. But think about it. If Trump snatch up, say, 100 African Americans and deport them to Sudan or Libya or Nicaragua or El Salvador or wherever, those people are gone.
I had to stop that. Now I had to chuckle because he said Nicaragua. Nicaragua. It's not funny, but what he said, there's the meat of the argument here. The meat of the argument is he can deport all of us, good luck getting the case. If your whole family's deported, if your mom and dad's deported, if your children are deported, if your brother and sister are deported, everybody's gone. Who is going to bring up a case? How are you going to Western Union somebody funds when you done got cut off from your bank account? When you done got cut off from everything? How are you going to have legal support? How are you even going to be able to even have monies to get a cell phone, to get an international plan, to get on the internet? Can I get my stuff? Your stuff has been commandeered. Why? National security. Do I have an ID? You don't need to worry about having an ID. We'll have that all figured on out. Come with these folks. Doesn't that sound like what happened with us in the transatlantic slave trade? And I'm telling you, it's going to be even worse. They're just going to be in the white suits, and they're just going to be stripped down to nothing. And here's the reality on this one. If you noticed, all American citizens. And my final point before I let Jacoba go on in on this. In order to pay back down the debt, we're leaving. And for those that are here staying, I'm going to bring this back on up because this is a great scripture. All those that are here in Babylon will have to serve those that conquered them. Shall serve those who have destroyed it. Brother Jacoba, what say you?
Well, it's funny. I had this joker come on one of my posts and say, well, Jacoba, when this stuff gonna blow up? You say it was gonna blow up. You know, I had to block him because that's an idiot that never listened to what I ever say, right? He probably a drive-by. And so, you know, when we look at what's happening, this is the type of thing that our people fail to understand, right? They align themselves with modern interpretation and modern legalese on what things mean, and not looking at the case law, not looking at the history and the application of laws, right? So if you were to look at the laws, you would see that the Constitution never applied to us. Why? Because if the Constitution ever applied to us, they could not shoot us in the streets and get away with it. Mm-hmm. Okay? They would have to have equal enforcement of the law, which has never happened, right? And so it's like with when we deal with the IRS. Legally speaking, you don't have to pay that, right? Legally speaking, but he who has the guns make the rules, and he who has the guns interpret what the rules are, and that's where we're at, right? They can say what they want. They look. It doesn't matter about the 13th and 14th Amendment because he who has the guns interpret the rules. So, like now, okay, he's on our side technically. Right, he's technically on our side, saying that okay, birthright citizenship is no longer a criteria for being declared a citizen. So now He's coming after people with green cards. He's coming after naturalized citizens, right? That's what I kept telling y'all, right?
Come on.
I kept telling y'all. I said they're coming for.
Yeah, and listen, all of those in the African diaspora that are, honestly, non-FBA, non-ADOS, however you want to attribute that, you are now in the crosshairs. And don't get that twisted, because you're in the crosshairs, and then with another legal challenge, like I was stating yesterday, with another legal challenge, then we're going to be in the crosshairs. We're about 3 legal challenges away from being in the crosshairs. So now what you are going to start to see is they're going to then start targeting everybody. And I said this yesterday. This is crazy. Before I saw this, I said this yesterday. I was just in talking because I was trying to coax Sister Shar to get on here to discuss, and I actually wanted her to do another legal seminar. So don't get that twisted. We're trying to get that together, because for lawyers it takes some time to get things figured on out. And with this, it's not necessarily a time of getting things figured on out. The reality is this: Trump can do whatever he wants to do. They made it. The matter. So basically, Order 66 is in effect, and then he's shooting out lightning from his fingertips. Is that the case, Yakoba?
I didn't catch that. Mr. Rick got some background noise.
Order 66 is now in effect. And then now Palpatine is shooting out the lightning because the Empire. That's what it feels like to me. They absolutely enacted Order 56, and then there's some other things that were enacted that came about from letters June 11th and things that this has been going on pretty strong here. Minister Rick, shalom.
Yes, how are you today?
Well, I can't complain. The Most High woke me up this morning and started me on my way.
Yeah, walking on the lawn, not fertilizing it. Yes, I have a take on this. I think they want us fighting to stay here. I agree with Yakova. I mean, we're still under Dred Scott. There's no right like the Constitution never protected us. They did what they wanted to anyway. So if you look at all these movements, it's all to get us to stay here. So I believe there's psyops. You got the people who say that the Aboriginals, we came from here. We're Indians, and you got some people are saying no. Zion is here. Jerusalem's here. Everything happened over here, and you got a lot of the people claiming FBA. We're patriots and we have no ties with Africa. The whole thing and all this energy is staying here and against bringing the 2 sticks together and getting us up out of here. So they're saying, well, they're going to take our citizens. How are we going to miss what we never had? It's still the Constitution. When did it say, the black people here are no longer 3/5 of a man? That's still in there. So I'm saying is, hey, what can they do to us they haven't already done? They never honored any of our citizenship's rights anyway. So it's all this energy to fight against the exodus and get us wanting to stay here and not going longing towards bringing the 2 sticks together, bringing Zion and Judah together. So that's my take on it. That's a psyop against us pulling up out of here.
Minister Yakoba, what say you?
Can you be more specific?
So, what are you thinking in terms of the next legal fight that is now getting ready to happen? Because when you brought up that video a couple of weeks ago, and it was a brother that they were trying to schedule for deportation, and he was not just a U.S. citizen, but he was also a government employee. What say you? I don't want to be fear mongering here, but now is everybody in the crosshairs?
So I'm gonna tell you what I think they're gonna do. I think they're gonna hit us state by state. They'll probably start with places like Mississippi, Florida, Louisiana, and Texas. Mm-hmm. And they'll contest our legitimacy as citizens of the United States because, remember, what did it say? It said all persons subject to the jurisdiction thereof, right? It says that. Mm-hmm. So, which is tied to the states, right? Mm. So if it's tied to the states, and the states have to determine, because you're subject to their jurisdiction, and they say, well, if the states decide you're not subject to their jurisdiction, then are you a citizen, right? Not only that, okay, then we have the whole idea of what a person is, right? Wow. Because the Constitution says that a person, has all of these rights and all these things. Well, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, right? What's a person, right? According to the laws in the early 18 and late 1800s, Negroes were not a person. And then after we supposedly got freedom, we were considered 3/5 of a person, right? So you don't have full constitutional protection. So technically, the Constitution doesn't protect you. And so just like what, I'll probably cover this on my show if I do a show. This particular white guy, he's a historian. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how, the Constitution never protected anybody. Right. And see, I was going to go.
Yep. I was going to go there. Go ahead.
Yeah. And this has been my position forever. Right. Ever since being in law school that the law is full of it, right? Mm-hmm. The law is full of it. It's an illusion. It's an illusion that the people that manage society and that manage the government want you to align by and follow yourselves. But when they decide not to follow it, there's no power to keep them in line, right? Because they are above the law. And so when they decide you're not a citizen anymore, who's to say otherwise? Because everybody keeps saying, well, the Supreme Court not going to allow that because, we have the protections of the 13th and 14th Amendment. Well, guess what? The 13th and 14th Amendment is just writings on a piece of paper.
Come on.
Andrew Jackson deported all those Indians that time. And the Supreme Court came with an injunction. And Andrew Jackson said, well, that's what they say. Well, let them enforce it. And he went and did it anyway.
Yeah, there's no governmental wing. The court does not have a enforcement power. The enforcement power is all within the executive branch. That's your police, your military, all of that.
And think of this for a second, right? That the right of a citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged. Well, guess what? If you're not defined as a person because you're a descendant of slaves, you're no longer a citizen. So therefore you can't vote anymore, which is why they always had the civil rights bill that they got to always vote on every 10, 20 years to give you your rights that you're supposed to have according to the Constitution, which they can make the case that you were never considered a full citizen because we have to vote every 10, 20 years for black folks to have the right to vote. I'm telling you.
Wow. Yeah, family, this is very meaty this morning. And this isn't to be, fear mongering. It's not to scare you, but it's to prepare you because we didn't do any of this. We were just telling you what's coming. And now it's here.
The only assurance we have is in the Most High, and we need to be weaned off this thing. I think Bush too was once said. They said they denied it. But they said they talked about it. Well, that's unconstitutional. And he laughs at Constitution. It's just a damn piece of paper.
That's it. And just think about it. Technically, they can win this case, right? If they come against us, because the 15th Amendment said the rights of a citizen of the United States. So that means if you're a citizen, your vote shall not be denied or abridged, right? Now they say on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. But at the same time, then, if that is the case, to show the intent of the court and the Congress, why do we have the Civil Rights Act that has to be voted on every 10, 20 years? So therefore, they're going to make the case that you were never considered a citizen because guess what? You had to have a Voting Rights Act to give you the right to vote and not have the right to vote from the 15th Amendment. See, I would have made a good lawyer. I just knew it was BS, right?
Well, the states always
He could have been the next Johnny Cochran and, sue for our reparation.
Well, they can do it just like the abortion law. They said, okay, we're not going to rule on this. We'll send it back to the states. And that's why they had to have the Civil Rights Bill voted on, because the states were abridging the Constitution all along. So they had to have a law to override the states who were doing what they want to do anyway. And actually, the Constitution, what rights are involved in the Constitution, the case law was built by really Black people from Dred Scott all the way down doing that, because the Constitution, we've expanded what their rights there are in the Constitution because it was just for landowners. You didn't own land. Nobody was supposed to vote. I mean, all these things, all the case law,
there you go,
fighting all these cases, expanded all the rights. That's how the immigrants got in. It was all expanded upon the fights and the blood that we shed to make the case law, and it can be reduced from the same case law.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We are very, as Pastor Rick Fletcher was saying, in captivity, we are considered persona non grata. So now think about this. You have sons, daughters, you have brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, mothers, fathers in the military. Your veterans, think about that. All those veteran services that folks count on and utilize, right? Government services. That's why they're trying to go after Medicaid. What are they doing? We've been saying this for quite a while. I said since Trump got elected, this was a filing of bankruptcy.
Well, we're stateless individuals. If they say if this goes through, we'll be stateless individuals. And a lot of it, I think anything America has given to us has been, I call it like giving a baby a pacifier. Mm-hmm. Now you can put a pacifier in a baby's mouth for a while and then he'll shut up. And after a while, the baby figures, hey, this thing ain't giving no milk. Mm-hmm. And he spits it out and starts yelling again, which is basically where we are now. We spit out the pacifier. Hey, there's nothing to it. Oh, these are just symbolism. Or putting a blackface in this. You're not. No, give us some real. So to get us back fighting, they want to get us back fighting for the pacifier. Well, anything they gave us was never giving us sustenance anyway. So the real Fed, our real source is the Most High, and to have us dependent and standing on this false construction is crazy. And we're in the unenviable position. Yeah, we are owed reparations, but we're trying to get good luck getting your reparations when you can't even get your pension when a corporation goes bankrupt. So going bankruptcy, that's another issue. I don't even want to step into that. Yeah, we are owed it. Are you going to get it? I believe.
Where does the money go back to in the bankruptcy?
I believe in recompense.
What does the money go back to in the bankruptcy? Because you're going exactly where this is being headed, and I'm going to show you some articles so you all are understanding. Brother Fast Nickel, shalom.
Hey, shalom. I'm on my way to work. I just wanted to point something out that you and I were speaking about on Friday.
Yes.
So with everything that's going on, everybody is talking about, hey, my constitutional rights. But what's happening in the background is all these blockchain bills that are getting approved, it's not just here in the US. As I was saying to you on Friday, so you got MICA, which is in Europe, and we talk about ISO 20022 in terms of crypto, but ISO is the top level. ISO 20022 is just one of many ISO laws. So what they're doing in the background is they are putting all of these standardizations in place, and they are all going to be under, I've seen the org chart, they are all going to be under the UN, so that now you are not going to be able to go to your constitution, because they are wiping out all of these different country laws and standardizing everything under the UN.
So where would the fight be for any type of reparations or anything else in terms of any other standard of payback? To me, as these countries are trying to get their gold out of the United States, well, if the United States is negative 40 trillion in the hole, do you think that is by design? That is by design. So if you have a debtor nation that is then having to push their gold back to these countries, where are you going to get your money at? Where are you going to get your gold at? Where are you going to get your silver at? Because you want to know what's going to end up happening, especially as all of this stuff crashes, and it's going to crash. It will crash. People are going to be pawning and auctioning off their silver that then goes into the bank. The government, the treasuries will melt that sucker down, and then they'll push that on over to the international settlements. They'll push that over into SWIFT, or they'll push it on over into BIS to have some sort of, introduction into the BRICS pay system, probably very, very limited. Or they may have to go through an interlocutor like UAE, and basically, that's kind of a transfer agent for the most part.
You're correct. And until something changes, everything is going to fall under the BIS.
Yeah, and the BIS system is not Western operated or dominated. It's actually Global South.
And the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, is what y'all talking about?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes.
we are.
Yeah, because they are immune.
Yes, they
from
are.
all government.
Correct. They are immune.
Can you say Mary Joie? Look,
Karis, it's true though. It's true.
I survived being a slave and Mary Joie. Oh my goodness.
Now you know the rest of them don't know what we're talking about, right?
No, that is a One Piece line. That is straight One Piece. Oh my goodness. The cartoon that tells it all. How you're enslaved by the elites because of a power that is no other, and your Elohim is an Elohim that loves to dance, that loves to get down, that loves to do what? To feast with his children. Why do you have feast days? So the Most High can celebrate with us in our midst. That was the whole intent of it. Am I going too far into that, Brother Yakoba?
No, and just think about it, right? One Piece let you know you're ruled by celestial dragons. And what do the celestial dragons look like? They're white.
Oh my goodness.
And when you talk about these celestial dragons, I'm just gonna point out Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel has come out and said he don't care if all humanity die. Like they don't care about humanity at all.
Y'all too far into anime for me. The paradigm I always look at is the Star Wars paradigm. People here we think we're the Republic, when actually everything is ruled by the evil empire. So we're deluded. These American citizens, we're fighting the Constitution. That's for the Republic. But the empire swallowed the Republic years ago. And the emperor is ruled by the global thing. So the whole galaxy.
Well, here's the thing. Hasn't this always started off evil? I'm just saying. Habakkuk chapter 2, right? Woe to a nation that established itself on blood. Look, what did you
Yep.
think this was going to be? To me, this is just the reality of Game of Thrones. They were just trying to tell you this all in Game of Thrones.
Yep. The Roman Republic was swallowed by the Roman Empire. They started out with a Senate and all that, and that just swallowed up. Oh, I'm an emperor, and that was gone.
Well, this is now their reset, right? And the reset then goes back to, what does that reset go back to? Anybody? Any thoughts? Where did this all come from? Came from out of Europe. Came from out of Europe. Out of Rome,
really,
right?
Yeah, Roman Catholicism, to be honest with you, because I was doing some research, and I'm not going to do a teaching on this, but I'll just let y'all know. So, like when you look at the little horn, right, and the little horn that rose up, and what the little horn do, he changed times and laws, he did all these things, right, and obviously a lot of what we see in that ties to what we can validate through Roman Catholic Church. And so there's a lot of things that in Daniel, right, with the 10 in Daniel, the 10 toes and the 10 horns on the fourth beast, those look different than the 10 horns in the book of Revelation. So this is the thing I didn't see before, right? That there's two different time frames of the ruling of a 10. There was the ruling of a 10 during the time after the fall of the Roman Empire. And then there's the ruling of the 10 that's coming up now. That's probably BRICS nations, or a combination of BRICS and the global north, right? So, because here's the thing, according to the scriptures in Revelation, it says that these 10 rule 1 hour with the beast. So that's a short time, 1 hour, right? They rule for a short time, but yet we see in Daniel that is tied to the older empires, right? So really we have two 10 horns that we're dealing with. One that's an older manifestation of the beast system, rulership, and then one of the future, which is about to come to pass, so rulership. I ain't never heard nobody say this, right? So I'm putting it out there right now.
That's interesting. So you're talking, you're talking about Roman Catholicism, but also the gods of wood and stone. We got the other player, the god of stone, that's on the other side, who this other religious system that came out of that also enslaved us. So the gods of wood and stone, either side, they got us from on the slavery tip.
All religions are from Satan. Every single religion is from Satan. It's the scripture and the covenant people that's not a religion. That's what they get you confused on, right? Yeah. Where the covenant is not a religion.
That I trace that back to Cain, the first person to start a religion, because he came with a religious system. The religious system was covering, sin is covered by blood. God slew animals to cover Adam and Eve, and he was asked to bring God's animal sacrifice, and he came with a salad bar, which goes back to the leaves that Adam and Eve first put on. And God said, "Oh, that's fine. Just do the right thing." And then the religious murder spirit came up, and it's been there ever since. From Cain, he got mad because they didn't go with his religion, his concoction, his system of sacrifice that he came up with. So he slew his brother. And all the religious system have this murderous part in it. From there on, it came from Satan, from Satan through Cain.
Well, isn't that the root of all evils is? And that's the witchcraft, right? So the witchcraft is the manipulation of trying to manipulate what the Most High has already put in order. That's the manipulation system. So what we see here has been a system that has been clearly manipulated for hundreds of years, a couple different decades. I wouldn't say decades, centuries, centuries, thousands of years.
The Gentiles boasting against the branches. What they were warned, they were delivered the true gospel, and it was whispered and whispered. By the time it got around, it doesn't resemble anything that it originally was. And now the original branches are finally getting on code and discovering, hey, we had this, and we can go back to our role of being priests and kings as the Most High sanctifies us and brings up again with a true moral compass of the world.
Exactly, because what has been going on, the morality has been basically exposed. So it's like if you're talking to anybody about morality, they get exposed with Gaza. They can't say anything about that. They are exposed.
And do you notice with Eurocentric Christians and even quote unquote black Christians, they always frame everything in terms of the church, right? But really everything should be phrased in terms of the covenant people, right?
Yes.
And so, when we look at the scriptures, right, they can't argue against it. They gaslight you and ignore text, right? But our people do the same thing, right? They'll ignore text that goes contrary to their doctrine. But I'm gonna tell you right now, where we're at, at least in my opinion, let me say it that way. In my opinion, we are at the threshold of our wilderness experience, and we're at the threshold of major changes that they're going. I mean, it's probably super close that they're coming for us, right? I'm not trying to scare y'all. I'm just saying the way the pace of things, and then not just the birthright citizenship decision. I don't know what happened yesterday with the Big Beautiful Bill Act, but did they pass that or not? Because you ain't gonna have no rights after that.
Oh yeah, no, it's looking crazy. It's looking crazy, and that is, it's shutting everything down because again, they don't have the funds. So you're seeing a lot of circular spending. I don't think that they voted for it just yet. Because remember, Musk kind of got in the way and was, talking about Porky's big party and all this other stuff, with the spending bill. So they're still on the fence. Now, here's the thing: it's gonna get passed, so I don't even care if they say it's still on the fence. It doesn't matter to me. And really, that's just my opinion. It doesn't matter to me, to be quite honest, because they're going to pass it anyway. And if they don't pass it, then guess what? Trump already done had it as, I do what I say anyway. Look, the Supreme Court already gave them, rulership de facto for the most part.
That's true.
So in my opinion, does it really matter? So when they do the bill and when they implement it, because here's the thing about that, Trump can also always say, we have to do this bill anyway, because if not, it's national security. And we're not talking about Martin Lawrence in this. It's not a joke. But it's kind of interesting. Shalom, Sister Chantel.
Hi, sorry, shalom to everyone. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm with my mom. I'm trying to sort out some stuff for the summer and everything, just freshen up the house. And I'm hearing all this buzz talk, these buzzwords of Star Wars and Star Trek and this, and I'm like, I can't go on. My mom's like, you want to go on, just go on. I'm like, no, I've got to stay focused. I've got to do what I'm doing. She's like, it's burning you. Just go on. So I'm here now. But shalom to everyone in the chat. Shalom, Brother Yakoba. Shalom, Minister Rick. Shalom, Brother Fast Nickel. Shalom to everyone. And my mom's waving to everyone. She don't come on, but she does listen. She says you lot talk too fast, so she can't. Her fingers don't work like that. But she always listens. But yeah. Oh my gosh, like there is so much going on. And it's like, oh my gosh, you know what? Somebody talk. It's hot here right now.
Let me say thank you, JSBS, for the super sticker. We appreciate it. So, all right. So if you all didn't know, that is Sister Chantel's mum. It's not mom, it's mum.
It's me mom. It's me mom.
So, I got a chance to meet with her back. Wow, it was like 2 years ago, back in 2023, and I thought that nothing that we do is happenstance at all. Nothing that we do, and it's funny because as we've gone through this journey, there's a lot of things that's opening up that was opening up at this time, and I'm going to tell you, the folks on the continent at some high levels were like, we can't see that happening. I had this conversation last week. I said, brother, think about it and let folks know. I'm not going to go into the details, but it was hard for them to even fathom this. You mean that they'll kick out black folks? Yes. Yes. How would they do that to their own citizens? Because we're not really considered citizens. It's troubling. It's literally troubling for folks on the continent to really understand the reality and the position that we're in.
That's why I said the other day when I was on that you guys are not citizens. They don't see you as citizens. They can't even see you as fully human. They just see you as property. That's why it's like, yeah, you all need to get out there and cover for us. Do what you need to do. Do what you always do. Be our human shields.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they feel they can do whatever they want. The same thing is over here as well. We've always been their property. That's how they see us. They don't see us as human, which is the irony. I'm not even going to go there, but
well, what did we say? What did we say? The property started to talk back, and now we're not good anymore. That's the way white supremacy works.
Yeah.
If you are talking back, time for you to go. If you are making a fuss about the evils and the wickedness that we do, it's time for you to go.
It's the fact that they feel that, look, remember when we was going through the scripture, for my love you have, they hate me. I think it was that Psalms 109, I think, or 93. I can't remember. It's one of the two, but it's we thought it was for the love of loving them. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's the love of self, the love of loving ourselves, each other, and more importantly, the Most High, because for us to love ourselves means that we're in opposition to them. That's not the case, but to them it is, because they require our complete love and obedience. What they want is dominance.
Yes.
It's dominance. And if we are loving each other, if we're loving ourselves, they can't dominate you. They can't dominate you. And that's all it boils down to. It's the fact that we are now saying, no, you know what? I want to be about, I love my people. That's why everybody can do for their people. Everybody can have something for themselves. But when it comes to us coming together collectively, it's like it's an issue. And that's why I feel like, and I don't know if Minister Rick touched on this, I think you did, but it's like a few weeks ago when I came on, I was like, it's so good to see that our people are starting to wake up. And what did I say to you? I said, if we start coming against one another again, then you know that it's them that's doing it, because they don't like when we come together. And now I'm starting to see, it's FBA and FBA this and FBA. And I'm like, can we stop? We were making progress. We were coming together. We were uniting under.
Understand they're getting paid. Don't think that the people on the pulpit are.
Oh no, I agree.
No, look, you can tell I don't get paid. You know what I'm saying? But FBAs. That's gonna be 5,000. No, listen, and you're absolutely right with the the way that they always try to do the divide and conquer techniques. But the reality is, we don't care. Their money is actually no good. And I'm telling you, their money is no good because here's something that is going on in Europe right now. And this is coming to a lot of people's attention because here's what von der Leyen was saying. This is back in January. Von der Leyen now looks east, India and China as alternatives to Trump's America. In Davos, the president of the European Commission flexes her muscles and says she is ready to do business where she can, breaking taboos, a roadmap for our competitiveness next week.
This is so funny. What does the Bible actually say? That they will give their power to whom? To what? To where? This new power that's coming up. They're not. Oh
You're
my
just
gosh.
in Revelation 17. I mean, it's hilarious what you're seeing. So a blow to the circle, a blow to the barrel, continuity and discontinuity. One eye to the west to partners once unquestioned but suddenly less reliable, and one eye to the east to potential new partners. Ursula von der Leyen is looking for alternatives to Donald Trump's America, and the president of the European Commission is now thinking of China and India. It is a necessary move for the EU, which lacks finances and raw materials and is grappling with all new growth needs and therefore less predictable. Now, it's interesting because that's all coming on out because we're having some things going on. They don't have access to the resources like they once had.
Exactly.
Yes, they want to bind us to this land while they make a move on our land and get everybody going in this. And we're in a situation. You're in Sodom and Gomorrah. You've already been told you got to get out of Sodom and Gomorrah. You tell all your relatives and people, hey, we got to get out of Sodom and Gomorrah. But ultimately, only a few people flee and the rest get done up in Sodom and Gomorrah. But God is the only thing restraining him from destroying Sodom and Gomorrah. And that Abraham bargained for was, well, if there could be 10 righteous men, if there be this righteous man, and this righteous man. So they want to keep us as righteous men here in America, again, as their human shields. And the church is a construct here. The black church is a construct to try and make the temples the thing, when the temple of the Holy Spirit. Anyway, I wanted to keep it short, but God is, we are the temple. That's the thing. We're being sanctified. We're being Ezekiel 36:23. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am the Lord, saith the Most High God, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. The Most High is sanctifying us and cleaning us up before their eyes, and they know it's coming. And we are the temple. God, Yeshua crucified. He said, "You tear down this temple, and I'll raise it up in 3 days." So we're becoming the temple of the holy people that He wanted us to be, and not making the temple these buildings like the construct they put into Christianity, and it's the game changer.
So let me share this because you got to understand how duplicitous they are, but it's not duplicitousness. Well, it is. It's duplicitousness, but understand their end goal and their end state. Here's the thing. Trump has already said in numerous articles this week and last week that he is not lifting the tariffs, or he's not extending the tariffs. I don't think that he can, because honestly, that interaction with the 12-day war has a lot of economic reverberations because nobody's buying the bonds here in the United States. And you just can't say, well, you're going to print, even though they want to do trillions of dollars to just print. So now here you have, this is from the political.eu. Donald is right and China is a problem, EU chief says. Beijing's subsidies should be a reason to work together, not tariff each other, Ursula von der Leyen argues. Okay, that's what she's trying to say last week when they're at the Kananaskis, Alberta for the European Commission, or that was the G7. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on Monday tried to find common ground with Donald Trump by criticizing China's export restrictions on raw materials used for cars, batteries, and wind turbines during the session on the Global Economy Summit in Kananaskis, Canada. Von der Leyen slammed Beijing for disrupting global trade by deploying subsidies to boost its own economies, according to an EU readout of the event. The chief executive accused China of weaponizing its leading position in producing and refining critical raw materials and of ignoring global trade rules to undercut competitors. Now, isn't that seen, very, very duplicitous? And the way that this was just less than 2 weeks ago. It was less than 2 weeks ago. But now you have everybody starting to say, well, he's not going to take off the tariffs. And now they're going to try to push towards, again, China, the East again. Everybody's too duplicitous. Everybody's too devious. And at the end of the day, you already know where Europe is going to cave in. Anybody want to chime in? Thoughts?
Well, I think we're very close to, with the bond issue, going to Weimar German Republic wheelbarrow money, where the dollar is just worse. The inflation, hyperinflation, is what it is. And let me ask you a question. The economic China, I understand, has two currencies. They have a domestic currency that they circulate within China, and they have another currency that they do overseas. Maybe they'll try and go to a system like that. I don't know.
Well, that's exactly what BRICS is doing. BRICS has actually literally three currencies. BRICS has the BRICS Clear, the BRICS M Bridge, and then BRICS Pay for the local currencies. And if you think about that, we have that too. The dollar's supported on the bond in the bond market. So your dollar's your local circulated currency within the local populace or international local populace for day-to-day transactions. And then you also have the bond, which then does what? Those are currencies between nations to buy the power of the dollar through bonds. So then the dollar continues to be subsidized by the debt. And now you don't have anybody that's actually bought bonds. You now have people that, if you don't buy into the Ponzi scheme, that's what I was saying. When they talk about everything's a Ponzi scheme, well, the dollar is actually the very first Ponzi scheme. And I'm going to say the very first, it was you actually had your very first within Rome, believe it or not. But now they're able to kind of refine it so they can make it a little bit more global.
Well, it's a Ponzi scheme with a protection racket. See, the military goes around the world and tells people, you want to use these U.S. dollars, don't you? Because, we need this money to protect you, because a terrorist group could come in and take your country, or people could come to review, and we have to protect you from your enemies. So you got to use these U.S. dollars. So, I mean, we're going around like Al Capone forcing you to buy our beer and not the guys from the north side. That's what it is. It's a Ponzi scheme, but it's a backed by a military protection racket. It's gangster money.
It is. You don't use the money, right, that the banks have stated, then you're a threat to democracy, right? You're a terrorist state. You're all of this stuff. Understand these were all the key words. Black folks that were enslaved, that wanted to have freedom, guess what they were labeled? Drapetomaniacs. You wanted to be free. That was an actual mental condition.
Yeah.
Why would you ever want to be free?
Well, during the war, we were contraband. We were considered contraband when the Union troops came over. So we've always been. We were the original stock in bonds. And I guess
because property is not supposed to have their own will.
Mm-hmm.
So we were the original capital of America, yet we can't get capital from America to build anything.
Come on. You need to say that one again. Say that for the people in the back.
We are the original capital that built America, yet we can't get capital from America to build our community, our whatever construct we put over here or anywhere in the world. Capital, they can't get capital.
Well, and that's the case. Why? Why would this place ever want to have us succeed or exceed in anything?
Why would you pay your slaves? That's kind of the point of slavery.
There you go.
And they were trying to get us back on them farms, but got shocked that we didn't go.
Yep. What you know the reason that I don't show my face is because I'm out here picking these strawberries. Am I
the only? Well, you got the right image out there, right?
Well, what is the rule of the first rule of dealing? Never get high on your own supply. America got high on slave labor, and it wants to get slave labor, or the closest it can get slave wherever it goes in the world. So now they feel they're entitled to slave labor. So they wanted slave labor so much they took our industrial base and the so-called arsenal of democracy that won World War II and exported it to China and overseas. And now they're trying to start World War III. And guess what? Oh, we don't have any factories here to actually do that. Everybody's talking about these. We're on the Nazi model. The Nazi always had, we're going to put uber weapons here. We don't have a lot of resources, but we're going to have this super weapons going to do it. So we're building super weapons, and the arsenal of democracy is in China and Russia, churning out more artillery shells, and we can churn out everything like that. That's your war fighting power. We don't have it. So we're just like Israel. We don't have the production capacity and the logistics to fight a world war. It's selling wolf tickets, and we will lose if we go there. And just too stupid to know this.
Even if you could fight, what you still need the resources to make the things. You could have all the factories, but if you it's like you're gonna go to China. You're at war with China. You're gonna go to China and say, please, can we have the minerals to make them right so that we can fire it at you?
Explosive, yeah, we need that.
Yeah, and China's gonna be like, okay.
We got to get African uranium for the atom bomb.
So did y'all see Ted Cruz's speech? He said, he was saying the exact same thing, that, China had too much influence, the CCP in Africa and stuff like that. So then he said U.S.-Africa policy has been synonymous with aid and development. But then he went on to say later on that they're going to change that policy, right? They're going to change from that to a different paradigm where the future of U.S. and Africa policy going to be around commerce and trade. I'm like, you should have did that from the jump. But guess what? See, they scared. Now here, listen to this. This is a theory.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, here's my theory, right? That as Trump put the pressure on us and make it where Negroes can't survive in this country, and he going to try to get us kicked out probably on a state-by-state basis, that the UN is going to get involved with the African nations having more influence now because everybody wants their resources and they're holding on to it.
Bingo.
That they have to give us our money, and maybe that's how we get out with great substance, because they're going to say, hey, okay, yeah, you want to get rid of them? Then you got to give each one of them descendants of slaves $1.5 million a piece, and you can let them go, and they'll go back to the continent, right? That's a theory.
You got to paper them up. Yeah.
So I don't.
Does that come with a few employees?
Look,
as long as it does, I'm good.
By the time that mess happens and they see what's going on, you think these white folks want to stay here and pick some blueberries and strawberries and some collard greens on out there?
Oh,
No.
You know why? You know why they're gonna stay? Because just like they gave up free education and free health care because they racism, they're not going nowhere. There's gonna be very few of them folks that attach themselves to Israel and come back.
Yes, I agree.
Continent.
I agree. There will be some, but not that many. Not that many.
Not gonna, I don't think they understood the question right, or they didn't understand what was phrased, Jacoba. No, you're not gonna get reparations here in the U.S. That's not gonna happen. You will get reparations probably on the continent, and it's going to be third party sourced out. So, if the U.S. when the U.S. struggles, not it, but when the U.S. struggles, because why? Because their economy is in the stinker, then the U.S. is going to have to ante up whatever gold and treasuries that they can find, because they're going to be doing another reconfiscation event. You know, folks are going to be hiding jewelry, hiding gold, silver. Nobody's going to be wearing no type of rings. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be snatching off chains. Go ahead and wear something valuable. Because why? They'll say, well, this is part of the austerity measures, right? They'll call it austerity.
Isn't that what happened in your history? What, in 1910?
Or is it 1920?
Yeah. When they started getting rid of gold.
Yes.
And they were putting people in prison and even killing people.
Yeah, if you had gold. Yeah.
Mm.
The only gold that you were allowed to have literally was just, you know, necklaces, and rings.
No, even then they were taking that. But the funny thing is, what was really interesting is who were they doing that to? Because you know our people didn't own anything like that.
No, it was doing it to them. Yeah, it was being
Exactly.
done to them.
Themselves.
Yeah, that was the gold act of. There was actually like 3 or 4 different gold acts, and then by the 1970s, that's when gold was done, and they replaced it with oil under
petrodollar.
Under the one. I am not a crook president. So that is where the future of this nation is that it's going to have to deal everything third party. This is why when it says that when it survives, this is Second Esdras right here. Let me bring this on up so folks can understand this. These mechanisms, there's mechanisms to this, not machinations, but mechanisms. Not.
No, you know, somebody will pick up on that.
I had to be a little cheeky. Had to get my British humor on. British.
Oh, darling, you'd make an excellent villain.
So, you know, I have to come back here into Second Esdras chapter 15, and it goes to right before judgment of Asia. It's so ominous that you see in here, Second Esdras 15, verse 45, and those who survive shall serve those who have destroyed it. And then the next verse, and you, Asia, who share in the splendor of Babylon. Why are they in the splendor of Babylon? Why are they taking shares? Because why? It's all of the nations that turn their back on Babylon. They're getting their cut.
Mm-hmm. Can I say something? This is a little bit different to but we're in this chapter, because I saw something the other day, and I know a lot of people have probably seen it, but it put me in mind of this chapter. And what I saw was one of them, female, admitting to the consumption of their own rib. And all that came into my head was they're going to eat their own flesh. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, is that the premise of this?
Soylent Green.
Oh my God, she ate her own rib.
Mm-hmm. Soylent Green.
And then told everybody about it. But what was more, I don't know if anybody has seen that. What was more terrifying is that her mum was there when she was doing it and said, she said, my mum thought it was cool. And she said she told her friends who kind of laughed about it, and her boss who said, yeah, that's kind of cool. And then there were some people in the comment section saying things like, if I could, I would do it. And somebody said to her, oh, you're disgusting. And she turned and said, you're only jealous because I got to taste the forbidden snack.
You mean like the aborted fetus in the lollipop? And
no, we're talking about. Well,
do y'all remember the video of Alex Jones saying he would eat his neighbor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's not far from that.
Here's the thing: they're gonna, and I hate to like go to these extremes, but now you can actually go. You can understand what's going to end up happening, right? They survived. America survived because of us.
Mm-hmm.
America thrived because of us. America was able to live the American dream that they wanted to perpetuate in their vanity was because of us.
Mm-hmm.
When we leave, they don't have that protection anymore. When we leave, that dream is gone. That's why a lot of I'm gonna say a portion, not that many, but a portion of people, probably I'm gonna say estimates 5%, 2 to 5%. I'm gonna say that portion are gonna say, y'all realize that everything America was and did and how it had been the way it was because of black folks. I'm out.
Mm-hmm. I'm going with them.
They'll know what time it is. They'll understand what time it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to understand if it's not just us leaving and it's also the other nations that are melanated folks leaving, then again, not to be, mean about this, but the way that Europe had been over the last 2,000 years is that they always fought and conquered each other over what? Resources.
Yes.
So now you're going to literally have the Mad Maxes, the tribal gangs, all these other things. You're going to have cities walling off. That's why you won't be able to go anywhere. You're not going to be. Every dystopian future that they conceive of is going to be what it is.
Yes.
It's interesting.
They've told you.
Even in our judgment, even when the Most High was judging us, we had the promise that we would not be utterly destroyed. So this land would never be utterly destroyed with us in it. But once that has been removed and we have been removed, then all bets are off. Then the real stuff can come through because there's no promise to preserve them through their judgment.
Yeah. I thought they were the chosen.
Look, I'm telling you, this is going to be worse than the purge because that purge is going to be a chattel culling for real. A chattel culling. What are they doing? Man, these folks are going to be chasing each other and eating each other. Oh, heck no. I'm leaving. I'm getting on out here.
They're going back to caveman days. Ooga booga, bop you on the heads, drag you to their next to wherever they came out of.
What you mean caveman days? What about the delectable Negro?
No. We ain't gonna be there for them to be delecting on.
That's what I'm saying. So they're gonna have to change diet.
But they were. You think they weren't doing this before they were beating us? They were doing this to themselves. That's what I'm saying. They were doing everything that they did to us. They were doing to themselves. Before a nation goes out to conquer wherever, it first has to conquer itself. Because you can't have. There's always going to be dissidents and people that don't agree with what you're going to do. So before you go out, you have to first do what you're going to do to everybody else, to yourself. They were doing this to themselves before they went out across the world, before they came up up to us, before they went into China, before they went into India, to Japan, before they went to America, before they went to Australia, before they went to South America, they were doing this to themselves.
They're reverting back to the mean. They were the barbarians then.
There you go.
Warring tribes, and they're going to
The
revert
Ooga
back to the
Boogers.
barbarians. They also, which low key, it's showing out now anyway. The barbarian behavior, it was always there. A human life don't move a needle. This is how they always were, and they used us as a shield and a veneer for America's righteousness. What morality we have in this country, or that you can't do that was in us. With them, it was never a problem.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Well, we were
Fully agreed.
Their moral compass, and again, they don't have
Still
any of
are.
us. Well, they don't have any of us in the places that we had even been in, even in the tokenisms. That's not even there. Brother Eric, shalom.
Shalom, Brother Karras. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Shalom, Brother Eric.
Blessings, family. Good to be with the whole gang again. So listen, I heard you guys say something earlier. I'm not going to be long. But in reference to these people being slaves to us. And I literally was doing my studying this morning and came across this scripture. I make 2 points and then I'll be done. Isaiah 45:14. Thus saith the Most High, the laborers of Egypt and the merchandise of Ethiopia and of the Sabaeans, men of stature, shall come over unto thee, and they shall be thine. They shall come after thee in chains. They shall come over, and they shall fall down unto thee. They shall make supplication unto thee, saying, surely Yahuwah is in thee, and there is none else. There is no Elohim. Verily thou art a Elohim that hideth himself, O Elohim of Israel, the Savior. Verse 16, and I'm done with this. They shall be ashamed and also confounded, all of them. They shall go to the confusion together, that they are makers of idols. What is their idol? White supremacy. White Jesus. This is all these people know.
Well,
White Jesus.
Brother Eric, now think about this. Remember what I just showed you was happening in Europe. They can't fathom that the Europeans would sell them out. They can't fathom that. They cannot fathom that other European nations would sell out the United States.
Well, that's why the Most High said they will be confounded.
Yep.
Shall go into confusion. All together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's remarkable how everything is playing itself out. And I like what Yakoba said earlier in reference to should have just left out of my head. Just that fast. But it was pertaining to what I think is what you're doing is very important. Building a relationship with our brothers and sisters on the continent. Because if they try to barter a deal, the United States barter a deal of doing commerce between the United States and the continent.
Mm-hmm.
If the continent decides, okay, you want to do business with us, then you have to free our people and pay them what you owe them.
Come on.
Mm-hmm. Right? Come on. So now if you're building a relationship, Brother Karras, with our brothers and sisters on the continent, how do you do such a thing? He that has a friend must first show himself friendly, right? You send over a container. You show that we have want to have a good relationship with you. When you're doing those things, people are more inclined to want to do business with you and help you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But that's why I always tell you, your labor is not in vain. Everything that you are doing, it is guided by the Most High. And this is how I believe. I mean, it can play out in a different way, but it seems to me what Yakoba said makes more sense. And if we follow these steps, right, that seems to be a path to our deliverance better than us just going over there being bullish. Oh, this is our line. This is our land too. Who's going to tolerate that kind of foolishness?
That's not going to work. Nobody even wants to have any. Nobody don't even want to have their family over talking about I'm going to eat up all your groceries. That ain't gonna work.
No, that's not
get
gonna
some
work.
groceries for them, but then it's gonna be like, you ate everything. Are you gonna pay for something? Nah, you see. You don't even like that their own family members doing that. I'm just saying, go ahead.
No, but I'm just saying that I think everything is being said is right on point. I honestly believe it's not going to be long, because if you read the scriptures and you study the scriptures, every time the Most High delivered us, it was right before our enemies turning on each other.
On each other.
Yeah.
You understand? And that's exactly what these people is doing. You would have never saw the United States turn on their favorite baby kid, Israel. You would have never saw that. They let Israel do whatever the freak they want to say. Oh, that's all right. Don't worry about it. You go on and play. Go play.
I'm still shocked that he said what he said.
About what?
The F-bomb. I'm still shocked about that.
And that's all
I ain't
fake.
shocked. He done
Yeah,
said
that's
what?
all
Are you
fake.
kidding me?
It's
That ain't nothing.
Yeah.
I know, but the fact is that they always like to show themselves to be so polished, regardless of whether.
But listen,
Not
he never
Trump.
had that. He never had that decorum.
No, he
You
didn't.
understand?
That is true. He
Never had
hasn't.
that decorum. His attitude is, take me. What did he say? He said, "You knew I was a serpent before you chose me."
Yep. He said it out of his mouth. He read that poem.
He's
I
not
was
trying
gonna
to
say,
fake.
where have I heard that from?
He's not trying to fake anything. He's telling you who he is. Take me or leave me. Well, what does he? Number 47 is the epitome of America.
Yeah.
He says out loud what they say in private and that they did it. You understand? And now they're so emboldened that, okay, well, now finally I can say it too. Look, the man that holds the highest office in the land is saying what I'm thinking.
There was a white man that was on TikTok on YouTube as well. Yeah, that said somebody stitched him, and he was saying he was in his car with a hat on his head and sunglasses, and he said, he says, I don't understand why white people always turn around saying, oh, we need to go back before Trump and so on and so forth. He said, we've always been like this. Trump never created this. He just gave us the platform to be able to do it outwardly, but we've always been this way.
Come on.
Trump is just the personification of who they always were anyway.
Yes.
And he's just the Wizard of Oz is not hiding behind the curtain. They just pull back the curtain. The guy in the back doing it, that's who they are.
Exactly.
That's how they are. How they always
This is literally Esau's skirt has been lifted.
Yes.
That's what that is.
Because
His skirt and everything. Right. And everyone can see and smell it.
So here's the funny thing. I like watching Hindustan Times and Times of India. And like I had said, and like I said yesterday and the week before, now all of a sudden Iran's about to go and do more nuclear enrichment. They've already started. I told you that. They've already started. There's not a couple of weeks. It's a couple of days. Probably a couple of hours. They probably, and it's already started. And they're telling Trump, they're like, you want us to come back to the negotiating table? That's going to take some time. We'll come back, but we need some time. But I was laughing at this because I said, how stupid can they be to actually say that they'll come back, but they want some time, or that they'll come back at all? I actually had to think about this. They're not stupid, they're brilliant. They know who they are working with.
Stalling tactics.
Yeah, it's a stalling tactic, and it's a great stalling tactic. Yeah, we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back. We're gonna do this enrichment stuff first, but we're gonna come back.
Do you want to know why it's even better? Do you want to know why it's even better? It's because in their past they have done nothing. In their past they haven't done anything. They literally this same president offed their beloved general, and they didn't do anything. They were mad, they stomped their feet, but they didn't do anything. But now I believe that that was all of a setup. That has always probably been a setup. They've been biding their time. See, this is America is very much, America is fast food. America is microwave. America is so accustomed to instant food and instant this, instant that. They don't understand that the rest of the world don't operate like that. They'll wait, especially
they're not acting out of emotion.
Here,
no.
So
Clear.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. America's gonna see that set up. If I were Iran right now, I would be enriching at the highest levels, and I'd be like, all right, sure, let's come to the table. But I'll pull up on them like Loke Dog. You see this warhead? I know we ain't got no problem.
How did I know this was coming? How did I know this was
we ain't got no problem.
Do we have I knew this was coming.
I would have RG with the little trigger looking all crazy. Like, you want to talk now? You want to talk now? You want to do some bombings now? I didn't think so.
They made it clear, if you can get a nuclear bomb, any nation, small nation that doesn't get one is crazy.
And it's like you also have to understand, like, they're friends with Russia, and Russia at the end of the day, it's like, look, anybody that's against America, I'm cool with.
No. That's not even. Well, here's the thing. That's not the case. Because I was thinking about this too when it was at times of India. I'll find it. I'll put this on in here. Yeah, it's right here. I'm gonna share this real quick. I won't play this, but I'll share it. It's in the chat, so folks can reference what I'm talking about. This video. I was like, why would they even want to discuss anything with Iran? Or excuse me, with the United States? You see what I'm saying? Like, why would they want to do that? And it's like, and they're not shook. The reality is this.
You talking about America?
I'm talking about Iran.
Discuss with who? America.
Iran has to actually go to China to get other armament and equipment. Iran is not very... Okay, so even though they have a pact with Russia, you have to also understand Russia kind of wants Iran to get fully blown up. So then Iran has to be fully dependent on Russia. Do you get what I'm telling you?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You get what I'm telling you? Because here's the reality of this. The Russians really don't care in terms of their partners and their partnership. You see? And the reason that is on out there is because they have now a precedent with Syria. Remember, Assad had all these S-300s, S-500s. Assad at the top of the line, and Iran wouldn't even give them the code. Or excuse me, Russia wouldn't even give them the codes to protect themselves. They didn't come on over with just, people rolling down the street and blah, blah, blah. No. They had anti-aircraft that they were rolling on in because why? Because remember, Turkey and the Eastern Mediterranean nation were flying missions into Syria. That's how Syria collapsed.
Yeah.
It was a coordinated effort. That's why they're trying to do sanctions relief on Syria.
Man, this is worse than Game of Thrones. You know that, right?
Exactly. But even for their puppets, you still can't trust your puppets. Hey, if they were easy to sell on out like that, then I'm not gonna give them relief, because then they can come back to their other, Arab folks and be like, "Hey, I got money now. Now you can trust me." And now nobody's going to trust Syria. That's why Iran is trying to take out that leader.
Well,
and now in terms of their Alawites, the Syrian Alawites are actually Christians. They're now being heavily persecuted in Syria. Like nobody saw that one coming. Religious persecution. Well, they love their Christians, right? How come that's not talked about? How come they're talking about Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, and they're not even talking about what's happened in Syria? Because they don't care. They know that what they have used religion is just a construct of control.
yeah, it's not really working that much anymore. So,
and it's because they're the ones destroying that construct, not us.
yeah.
You see,
if it doesn't work, you don't need it. Then it's like you don't care.
they're just throwing, and so they're burning all of their capital that they thought that they had, and now they're becoming the biggest hypocrites in the world. And now, with being the biggest hypocrites in the world, now they're being challenged. And they know that they're being challenged, but their challenge is going to be very, very nuanced. Because why? Because they have to deal with America like they're dealing with an adolescent child. Like they're literally dealing with a teenager. Yeah. We're going to talk. Yeah, we're going to talk. Yeah, I'm going to talk when I'm nice and ready. Ishfar, how long do we have? 48 hours. Okay, I'll send that response. You'll get that response, Mr. Trump, by Friday. Yeah, you think they're going to show up empty-handed again? Heck, nah. I'm showing up with guns in my waistband, guns in my ankle strap, thigh strap. I got holsters. I'll even have the AR slung on me at the negotiating table with a few grenades. Okay, we can talk now. I pull that grenade pin on out and just hold that grenade in my hand. It's that man switch. Say something now.
I'll be like, see who has faith in heaven.
You want to know how I would tell Iran to not negotiate? That hand switch. I laughed because I'm like, man, I said, like, these folks are stupid. Then I had to say, nah, okay, I get it.
And you're thinking, did I fire 5 missiles or 6 missiles? Do I have them running around? Feel lucky, punk? Do you?
Yeah, look, you're gonna want to come back to the negotiating table after they done blew you up. And it's like, yeah, you are.
Y'all must think Persia was born yesterday.
Exactly.
Isn't that like
you're an upstart?
Isn't that how the United States always operate? They're always the hidden hand. They're always the black hand. They do stuff and then they hide their hand. And I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't own slaves. I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
That's their regular MO. And they have no
agenda.
Changing and repenting. This is what they do. So that's why this nation has to be destroyed. Period. End of story.
But you just hit the nail on the head because they're unrepentant. I didn't own any slaves. Whilst you're benefiting from we weren't slaves, so why do we still live like that?
Well, you have to have if you follow Satan, you got to have the arrogance of Satan. You're talking about an angel that pushed up against the Most High and said, "I can whip." Now, how arrogant? That's your boss. So you got to have the arrogance. They have the arrogance to believe their own stuff. They get high on their own supply. They believe it.
Well, but remember, that's the trap that has been laid, right? What is arrogance? Arrogance is vanity.
Vanity.
What's white supremacy? All white supremacy is just
Yep.
vanity.
Vanity.
Yep.
So they're going off of their own vanity,
Yep.
and they've just been so stooped in their own vanity that it's just actually been very funny, right? Their own vanity. DEI, DEI was in everything, vanity, vanity, and then all these airplane mishaps because they were firing people that were actually qualified.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. So if I'm sitting here in America, I'm just looking like, yeah, we don't have that much longer.
And you know what's infuriating or terrifying is that you wake up, you've woken up to realize the mediocrity of them, and they're the ones that are behind the wheel. That's terrifying. That's like putting a lunatic. That's like, oh my gosh, that's like putting the Joker behind the wheel. Like literally, you've put a lunatic in control.
Yeah, and then when they crash out, and then they're gonna be like, "That's your fault that I crashed out." What? I was nowhere near that. Well, it's your fault. Here's the reality, though: as most Black folks, African Americans, African diasporan that are living here in the United States, that have worked in the United States, that have had careers in the United States, in every level. Everything that we're saying resonates with our community because everything that we're saying is actually true. Because everybody has experienced that in one form or fashion. It's not that I'm saying anything that's just totally make-believe, off the wall. No, none of that. The reality is that everything that I am saying and that I have said is absolute truth.
So, family, has everybody noticed that today is July 1st, the 7th month? July 1st, that the 7th month of the year is gone already.
Yeah.
If the Most High hadn't shortened the time, no flesh would survive.
And that's crazy because it just feels like as if I still feel like my mind is at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like as if I'm in last year.
Yeah. It went by that fast.
It's going
like my body's here, but it's like, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it's like my body's here, but I feel like as if my mind is at the end of last year, like literally just reaching the end of last year. Everything is just happening like that.
Yep.
Well, the narrative machine is just broken down. They can't a lie just gets pounced on like a hawk, like a bird flying up, and the hawk just plucks it out of the air. They can't float a lie for 24 hours before it's debunked. Somebody picks up on it. So the only people that are ignorant are those that are willingly ignorant and want to believe it or drink the Kool-Aid.
Max Ferretti says Satan probably thought Adam and Eve were DEI.
Yeah,
they've been war. Look, this war isn't just.
That's funny.
This is a war of humanity. It really is. We just represent the Most High's kingdom because we have been given the oracles. We have been given the authority. Because why? Because we're here to teach and we're here to serve. Don't get it twisted. We are here to serve as servants of the Most High. In that servitude, the nations will come and ask, what can we do? Okay, if you want to serve like me, this is how you serve. So when you're serving in righteousness, because why? Because there's nothing out there that emulates righteousness. Certainly not China, certainly not Russia, certainly not Iran, certainly not European nations.
We are the diplomatic corps of the Most High, and that's what we were supposed to do. And when your ambassadors get jinky, then you recall your ambassadors. So he had to discipline his ambassadors, get them back on code, to get us cleaned up to the point, sanctified up to the point that we can once again represent the interests of the Most High upon the earth.
Yes, that's exactly what I've been saying, that this Israel is an ambassador nation. We represent the Most High on this plane of existence.
So then what happens? So then let me ask you this question. Then what happens if you aren't doing what the Most High asked you to do? What happens?
You get recalled, taken discipline, taken back to the country,
Like brother said,
pulled out of service.
You're gonna get put out of service.
Exactly.
If you and that's the life or death. How are you called? Are you called according to whose purpose? To whose will? How are we called? We're called to be made in the image and the model. Through who? Through Yahusha. We're not greater than the servant or the master who came to serve.
We're supposed to be sanctified so he can internalize the law in us and the Ruach HaKodesh in us. And we're not supposed to grieve the Holy Spirit or quench the Holy Spirit operating with us. We're supposed to be on a diplomatic cable, non-encrypted encrypted lines to the Most High all the time, so we can act as his agents and communicate his messages.
Well, let me tell you, because I was on I was discussing this literally yesterday, and I said, if you understand a lot of what these camps are doing, they're trying to put Yahusha to where Yahusha serves them, and not us serving him, because he is the king. This kingdom is his kingdom. We're as servants in the kingdom for him to rule and reign when we get back into the land to establish that kingdom.
They've done exactly what Christianity does, and that's make the Most High into a genie in a bottle. You rub me and I'll pop out and say, what do you need?
Yeah, I mean, look, don't get it twisted. There are a lot of our people that aren't going to make it. There's going to be some of them that make it. Those that call on the name of Yahuwah through his son, Yahusha HaMashiach.
Yeah, that's real sad too.
You got people still talking about, well, how can you manifest? They're gonna manifest things like a genie in a bottle. You know, we're gonna think this thing forth. So my kingdom come, my will be done.
Mm-hmm. And that's what? That's rebellion, right? I was touching on that yesterday. Jeremiah 28, Hananiah. We're going to break this off. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Nah, you're going to get disciplined. And in your discipline, you're going to find meekness and humility. Because why? Because we all have to put forth and be diligent as servants to serve Yahusha.
The promise was, my yoke is easy and my burden light, but it is a yoke.
Mm-hmm. But Christianity literally turned it into, hey, in Jesus' name, I'm going to get me a new house, a new car. I'm going to have $1 million in my bank account. I'm going to go to Hawaii, Tahiti, right? They have their wish list. Thank you, Jesus.
Literally taking his name in vain.
It is vanity. Man, do you know how to even be meek or humble? What's that? Pastor says, I don't need to worry about that because, you know, we're just black people that don't know anything and we're just victuals. You're our inheritance and you're going to be our inheritance forever. And you all aren't supposed to talk back. Property is not supposed to talk back. As Jacob has stated, property isn't supposed to talk back. We're to be seen and not heard. We're to dunk We're to shoot hoops. We're here to tackle each other. We're here to outpace each other in track. And then we're here to be the model and the standard of a fictitious, highly perverted, romanticized version of what they want us to be.
Gladiators for the empire.
And if you talk back, we're all drapetomaniacs. We are drapetomaniacs. And we're asking for our stacks. Reparations will have to come, whether you want to give it free or with the gun. Draptomania, totally insane.
The whole concept of a lazy slave is just absurd on its face. But you can take it straight call a slave. I've kidnapped you. I forced you to work under penalty of death, and you don't want to work. Work yourself to death. You're a lazy slave. That's no to come up to say that a country say that state. That's the height of arrogance.
Mm-hmm. Just wait until they get that and then some. From who? From the Asians, from the East, from the global South. We need people. We're going to hire you through LinkedIn. To do what? To go on over to these countries and you never coming back. I think such and such has a good life, but we have poor reception here because we're still trying to work on, communicating with the rest of the world here in the United States. The UN says that we're going to be getting things taken care of. The UN says, but I'm telling you, even when they have lost, the narrative will be here in the United States, they won. I'm not being facetious. I'm not being tongue-in-cheek.
The appetite of that ego is insatiable. It's got to be fed. It's got to be fed.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to do like the rest of the world? Yeah. Well, you all are better than the rest of the world because guess what? You all can get these brain chips and you'll function better and you'll do better and everybody else will love it and love what you're doing. Have you ever noticed how childish? That's the childish schematic that Donald Trump uses. Oh, it's the big, it's the best. We have the big and the best. We have the big, and when they're big and the best doesn't work. Oh, it's lies because everything is big and it's the best. So what are you going to do? They're going to lie and lie and lie, even when they're defeated. Oh, don't worry. They're going to use their pride against them, even when they lost.
The caste system wipes out competition. So there's no competition for excellence in anything. And the oligarchies consolidated all the companies they have. So, I mean, there's the drive towards monopoly. So there's no excellence. There's no pushing for excellence. And the excellence that God put in our people contributed mightily to this system. And but we're not going to be that, or we're not going to be, our talents are not going to be taken the same way the African nations are not allowing their minerals to be taken and used by the empire. The only thing is they're still trying to do a psyop to bind us to this land. And whether by volition or whether by permission, we're still getting up out of here.
Oh man. Yeah, it is something for those that have joined us a little later. We were talking about, this came from the Defiant Lawyers Network. I'll put the link here in the chat so you all can take a look. Do not get it twisted. Minister Yacoba broke that down in a very clear manner. Our constitutional crisis is here. And we were talking about constitutional crises because it's a lot. But what has happened is that the authority to say that you are a citizen of the United States. Well, you can say that however you want, whatever you want. It doesn't matter if you say it. They snatch you on up. You're just gonna have to take that up with however you can shoot an email. If somebody if that can, fight for your behalf.
Tell it to the judge from the prison.
From whatever prison.
Good
Tell it to
luck
the
with
judge
that.
on that Zoom call from Sudan, from Nicaragua. He said Nicaragua. Hey, honey, I'm stuck in Nicaragua. Give me a lawyer. No. Oh my God! Listen, we haven't even gotten into the peas and rice on this one.
There you
What do you mean peas and rice? It's rice and peas.
Rice and peas.
So, Karis,
want to call it.
Well,
Look,
upside,
go
you get to
to
meet
a
the
Jamaican
Afro-Latinos.
restaurant or a Haitian restaurant or a West African restaurant. Oh no, Lord! Oh man, I'm getting that thing Uber Eats. I can't get no oxtail in. I can't pick it up.
So Karis, I wanted to ask you about the guy whose his father was in the military, and he was born in
the Asian
Germany guy. on a base.
Is that
and
the
now
Asian guy?
No, it's a black guy.
Oh.
And he was born in Germany on a military base. So he was technically a U.S. citizen, but they say because he was born in Germany, he's a German. And the Germans don't want him, so they kicked him out. So now he's sitting in Jamaica. Did y'all hear about that one?
Nah, I didn't hear about that. Wow.
There's quite a few
About the Asian
people
guy, his
that
father,
wasn't
they've been here for like. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Hello.
What?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was saying I heard about the Asian guy. His father, his father's been here for like 54 years, and he served in the military, and they booted him out.
Oh no, man.
Didn't they make a case when McCain ran for president that he wasn't actually born in the United States? He was born like in Panama on a military base, and then they say, of course, that doesn't matter, but not like that precedent would apply to us anyway, because they twist the law to make it want to. But that was how they spun it.
What does the scripture say about the son of perdition? Right, he would change laws and times and seasons. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What is this guy doing? Y'all still don't know who this guy is?
Exactly.
Nah, he don't have to change no laws. I told you.
They just don't keep it.
You're not looking at Trump. You're looking at this is Judge Dredd. I am the law.
I am the law. Yeah. No, it's sorry. I am the law. Oh gosh. Oh, did any of you the woman? Sorry to cut you, but there was a woman who wanted to get her evict her fetus early. I think it was in your neck of the woods, Karis, and or was it in Georgia? I can't remember now. But yeah, she went to the governor to get it done, but it's illegal. So it's like they can change or ignore their own laws that they create, that they put down just recently, and then if they want to, they just do whatever. And not only that, it also shows you that these women, although they like to rage on about feminism and everything, they still have to run to the patriarchy, as they like to say. They'll run to their husbands, they'll run to their brothers, they'll run to the men and say, yeah, can you sort me out? Can you this, that, and the other? But yet still in this whole thing about feminism is just another ploy, just like the churches, to turn Israel against Israel via the men against the women.
The law of the land is the code. It's not the Constitution. It's the white supremacist code. That's the true law of the land. And they know the code, so they can wink at any other law and turn it any way they want to. So it really doesn't matter. The law never protected us. The fact that we might bring insurrection, that's what protected us. And the George Floyd's right. They know they got a line they can cross before Israel will rise up, because Israel has always rise up against whatever power, the Romans, the Greeks, whatever power. You got a line to cross with Israel, and they'll rise up, and that's the only law that we have protecting us. They understand they got a line to cross, and they got to be careful.
Here's that article. Thank you for putting that out there in the chat. Sorry, I'm toggling in between some things. Thank you for putting that on out there.
So is this what? Is his parent? Is his father Jamaican American, or?
Well, let's read this. So, son of U.S. soldier born on Army base in Germany, deported to Jamaica. A man born to an active duty member of the United States military on an Army base in Germany in 1986, before coming to the States as a child, was deported last week to Jamaica, a country he's never been to. According to a report by the Austin Chronicle, Jermaine Thomas, whose Jamaican-born dad became a U.S. citizen during his 18-year military career, spent much of his life moving from base to base with his father and mother, the latter a citizen of Kenya at the time of his birth. At 11 years old, after his parents' divorce and his mother's second marriage to another soldier, he went to live with his father, who had since retired in Florida. Unfortunately, his father passed away in 2010 from kidney failure, shortly after Thomas had arrived. Much of his life after that was spent in Texas, homeless, in and out of jail.
Damn.
It's unclear when exactly Thomas was first ordered to leave the country, but court records from 2015 show a case that went all the way to the Supreme Court, in which the U.S. Department of Justice argued that he was not a citizen simply because he was born on a U.S. base in Germany.
Wow.
The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Department of Justice, upholding the U.S. Courts of Appeals decision, and denied Thomas' petition for a review of the deportation order, saying in part that his father did not meet the physical presence requirement of the statute in force at the time of Thomas's birth. Wow.
But isn't
So
that,
So much financial
change,
baby.
isn't that a change from when they say if you're a U.S. citizen and you're in the service and you're born in another country, that automatically makes you a U.S. citizen?
Well, here's
that used to be. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So here's what they're trying to say. The court also noted Thomas's prior criminal convictions, one for domestic violence and two crimes involving moral turpitude. So we'll who knows what that actually means.
We know what it means.
So without U.S., German, or Jamaican citizenship, Thomas was stateless, although he remained in the States. Most recently living in Killeen, a city about an hour north of Austin. He told the Chronicle that deportation to Jamaica started with an eviction from his apartment. While moving his belongings out of the apartment, he was arrested by local police on suspicion of trespassing, a misdemeanor. Why do you think all these jobs are now being taken away?
To make you homeless.
He's by law, he's a slave. He was duly convicted of a crime. So he was a slave anyway.
He was
guess what? Everybody gonna get caught up again because of vagrancy laws, because they're not gonna have a job, they're not gonna have no shelter, they're gonna be homeless. Yep. And there we go again, back in the prison and back into slavery.
Exactly. I was just telling my wife the same thing. I know that's the spirit. I know that's the spirit. I was just telling my wife the same thing.
My mom was nodding as well because we're all thinking the same thing, and I can guarantee you, everybody in the chat's probably thinking the same thing.
The loophole in the 14th Amendment.
They think they're slick. They really do. Do you know Bruce Willis and what's her name? Jerry Ryan that played 7 of 9. They're born the same circumstances. Only thing is obviously one of their parents was American, but they were born in Germany on a base.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them. So this will be interesting because we know it only pertains to us.
So let me ask y'all, is it not illegal in some states to be homeless? Yes or no?
Yep.
Therefore, you're going to be a criminal. And since you don't have a home, you're going to be deported. They're going to start with the guys in jail first, and then they're going to come after us on all kind of spurious charges. And that's what's going to happen. Then it's going to, I think it's going to go all the way up to the international courts, right? And then I think Africa is going to get involved. And since Africa has more influence now because they're holding on to their resources, I think that's how we're going to get out of here.
So,
isn't that what we had talked about, Yacoba, like 2 years ago? This is the exact same thing that we had talked about.
So your brother Yacoba, how did they manage to get us back on the plantation? Vagrancy laws, right? Loitering.
Yep.
They implemented the loitering, right?
Yep.
See, they're gonna. This is what they always do. They figure out a way to sabotage us, and that's exactly. They don't have a new playbook. You always use the same playbook. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
They always got a poison pill, and whatever they do, it's presumably.
And they have to have the facade of law, right? So all they're gonna do is reinterpret the law, though. That's what they're gonna do.
Yep.
Because they have to look like as if they are blameless, that they are on the side of angels.
Well, they got a loaded rubber stamp Supreme Court, so pretty much they want you.
Oh yeah,
that's what they just did. They just rubber stamped Trump's presidency. Trump can do whatever he wants.
Oh yeah,
he can do whatever he wants. Look, y'all ain't gonna get me deported. Trump's a good guy. They do not speak for Covenant Awakening's Donald Trump. My orange savior.
So Kara's gonna be singing, "We go vote for Donald Trump."
I will vote for Donald Trump.
Well, I mean, the Most High has a hand in this too. He's cutting all our umbilical cords. The thing to Babylon, our ties to Babylon. At the end of the day, they all wind up at the altar and say, "Well, God, all we have, the Most High, Yah, all we have is you," which is all we ever had.
And I remember Karis and I was discussing this years ago, and all we got was heat, right? But now all this stuff is happening.
Yeah. Oh, I got hate emails. Emails. I got stink meaner emails from Boondock. Stink meaner. And words, you don't know what you're talking about. You need that. Oh man, these folks were going crazy.
Dred Scott got legs to it. Dred Scott is that a vampire, a zombie that comes back from the dead, because it comes down to it. You got no rights that we are bound to respect.
Now, Minister Rick, now that's what I've been saying. It's like they say, well, the 14th Amendment overturned Dred Scott, right? But they're gonna reinterpret that thing. I'm telling you right now, they're gonna bring Dred Scott back in as case law and say it was never fully decided. Watch.
This is why I'm also thinking, Max.
Hey, brother Yacoba, have you noticed they still haven't apologized?
No, they won't. No, they won't. And this is what Max Betty's saying again. Maybe when the Hebrews get out is when they say finally they can't hold us back anymore, and sudden destruction takes place. Why? Because I do believe that they're going to try to resubdue all these nations. But here's the thing: you can't ball on a budget if you when your budget's broken.
So my question is, Eric, who didn't apologize?
All the UA and the rest of the, if it didn't come out of a white pill bottle, you know, the word ain't true. And you being a Hebrew, you understand, looking like the true Messiah, they ain't gonna apologize to you because they don't believe the true Messiah look like you.
They won't believe
like
it until
Caesar
they're not gonna believe anything till the fire under their feet, right? They're never gonna believe it till they feel that pain.
Well, Citizens United is still in play. Money is definitely speech, and that's what happened. What power we wield in this country within the George Floyd riots. It wasn't like the people or the death or that doesn't move the needle. All that money that was lost, they were saying, "Oh God, they're looting." All the humanity, things like that. Money is speech, and when you speak to them, like make them lose some money, then oh, you have a problem with this.
Here's why I say you're going to have UN intervening here in the United States. And I'm not going to even say the time frame. We already know what's getting ready to happen to these markets. They're already thinking that, you know, oh, they're going to have all these crypto deals and everything else, and then people's dollars are going to really become worthless. That could happen, and the likeliness of that happening is very high, especially within the next 60 to 90 days. It's very high. They have the tariff war going on. Trump already said he's not going to back down from tariffs. That's in less than 10 days. If your dollar is now worthless and they're trying, you know, everything that they do, their whole crypto rollouts and have you ever seen them do anything to roll out anything that actually is a success, or has everything they've done become a complete disaster?
Well, it's a disaster for us. It's success for them.
Yakoba, I got a sidebar. It's a little bit off topic, but I just want you to reply to it just briefly. We see an actual war with urban centers being hit and missiles hitting, military designed missiles, payloads, unleashing on skyscrapers, and not one collapses to the ground in its own footprint. It's all standing there. I'm just saying, the delusion. We see actual missiles hitting now. Now, plane hit a building, it go down. But the actual missiles, guided missile in a war gets exchanged, and the skyscraper is still standing. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Good point.
Well, I'm going to tell you, there are some buildings that actually did fold in Tel Aviv, and they didn't implode. It wasn't an implosion. They actually kind of, you know, they toppled on over. You know,
yeah, like you would expect.
Yes, yes.
But they're not really showing the destruction that's over there. They're keeping it real hush hush.
Yeah.
That place is being decimated. And I think
the Hooters are going crazy.
They wanted,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think that's one of the reasons why they wanted this ceasefire. See, it's all right when they was bombing Gaza and smashing them to smithereens, as they say. But now that they getting their ass torn out the frame,
well,
now it's a different story.
They tore up some stuff, but again, they didn't have a building number 7 that nothing hit first fall down in his own footprint. I mean, I'm just saying.
Didn't Kissinger say there would be no Israel in 10 years? We're here.
Yep.
I think it's going to be an international city. That's what I think it's going to be.
It'll be administratively dissolved, that everybody that's there will quote unquote be there, you know, as a UN. I think that honestly, as we're looking at the UN, it's gonna be that's the one world government that's now taking form, because okay, we had this whatever we had to, you know, toothless state because the US made this a toothless state. And in this thing being toothless, we've now had to undergo countless wars and literally a genocide on really whose watch?
So it will become what Rome was. Rome is now the city state, the city state, the religious controlled city state.
Yeah, this is all what they're trying to set this up for. Oh, and by the way, in order for the world to have some peace, we now have to also make sure that we can administratively handle the United States, because I'm sorry, them folks are crazy.
Yeah, the horror's gotten janky, so we got to throw off.
Yeah. So now I do believe that you now have the backroom wheeling and dealing, as just as the word says, because why? They have to cut something off. And what's going to be cut off is that whore. She's going to get trampled because why? Because that beast got to eat. That beast has to eat. Niger is now controlling its uranium. West Africa is now controlling the cocoa. I told you, look, don't mess with white folks in the chocolate. Oh, no. You can't have a Hershey, Pennsylvania without no cocoa beans.
What was that about? Coffee?
I'm talking about cocoa.
Oh, cocoa. Oh, right. Sorry, I thought I heard you say coffee beans. What, chocolate? Oh my gosh! Don't come between me and chocolate. I'll cut you.
You mean they don't grow it in Switzerland?
I just ordered. I'm waiting for the next one. It came yesterday. I just ordered the 8-ounce giant cupcake. I mean, a Reese's cupcake. What do you call a blasted thing? Hold on, let me get it so I can show you, so you don't think I'm just.
Can I ask you guys? What are you guys gonna do when you can't get food as big as you're accustomed to? Because the rest of the world don't eat food as big as what you guys have.
I'll answer that. We'll lose weight.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm telling you, it's like
planet already.
Oh, we're right behind you on that. Trust me. I love chocolate. Oh my gosh, Lindor is my chocolate. Lindor
but I
is my
thought
chocolate.
cocoa was grown in Belgium.
That's what they think. Just like gold comes from France.
Well, you're going to be eating Afro bars. I'm trademarking that so I can get
Afro bars. Oh, can we design some in with Afro pick as well?
Hey,
so let me ask y'all this.
Go ahead.
Let me ask y'all this. Did y'all see and I don't know if all this is synonymous and legit, but supposedly the bodies, like 61 bodies, some say 5, that turned up, washed up on the shores of Spain, and they were shackled. So a lot of people think that's the immigrants that are being put on the military transport planes.
I haven't
being
heard
dropped in the
about
ocean.
this. No.
What?
Yeah, so they think, if you Google, you'll find out that some of the immigrants were put on transport planes and they were shackled.
Oh, whoa! Immigrants coming from your neck of the woods?
Yeah, coming from here.
I have some
deportees.
Thing.
Yeah, and they were
saying
because
when you said that, I thought it was talking about the immigrants coming from Africa over here.
Well, that's what they said. They think some of them are Africans from there, but the question was, why were they shackled and how did they end up in the ocean? So some people think that is to see those. What are those transport planes called?
The KC-130. Yeah, because then you can open up the back.
Yeah,
and you can actually offer.
They think they're dumping people out there. I don't know if it's true. I just wonder if y'all thought about it.
Oh my gosh, really? That wouldn't really.
When the slave
that wouldn't really be bad.
Caught, when the slave trade was supposed to have been out loud and the slave transport got caught, what they do? Throw the cargo overboard.
They do.
That wouldn't. That not true. Bad. That wouldn't really be that. I mean.
It's not something
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, it's not something that I'm sorry. I'm actually gobsmacked. Like, so when people say that they've lost contact with their family members, is it possible? Like, oh my gosh! I mean, I've always said that nothing they do surprises me, but
What do they have in their
shocked.
power that they are not capable of?
Exactly.
Historically, like Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them. We still
Argentina did that, right?
Yeah,
When they had their civil war, they put them in those type of transport planes. Not the same, but they dropped them in the ocean.
Yeah.
Was that our people? They did that too.
It was Bolivian. Yeah, it was actually the Argentine Bolivian War. They were actually fighting against Colombia and Bolivia at the time. The slaves that were there would actually run over to Colombia. And then afterwards, after they lost the war, then they actually went through a genocide and they killed basically most of the population of black people.
We still want to ascribe morality to these people. We just can't. The Bible says to the pure in heart, all things are pure. You just you can't. There's no depth too low that they can sink to.
Yes, and that is exactly what Pastor I keep forgetting. You know who I'm talking about.
Look, anybody that would do transhumanism, genetic modification, blocking out the sun, deleting little babies, they will do anything. There's nothing to stop them from doing anything.
Richard Pryor said,
"How hard
they already know they were going to hell. They just don't want to wait in line."
But you have to understand. But you have to understand, being a retired vet, I've seen some stuff that I'm not proud of. I have. But imagine that you are on those flights and I'm telling you, it's gonna be TSSCI. It's gonna be top secret. They'll have a special access. You won't be able to say or hint about anything. And do you know what those folks do? Why do you think that the self-deletion rate is so high amongst veterans?
Okay. They can't live with themselves.
They can't live with themselves. Do you think that people think that wickedness doesn't take a toll on you?
It does.
So in order for them to live with themselves in wickedness, guess what they're going to do? They're going to continue to be more wicked.
That was
normalize it.
I don't want to talk about the ish people on that, but the thing with the Nazi death camps was it was messing with the soldiers when they had soldiers at the front, and when they were just machine gunning people and putting them in the trenches, it messed with them so much that they couldn't function. So they said, we got to find an industrial way to do this out of sight, so we don't have the minds of our people going crazy. So they in the camps, and that's where you come with the chambers and all this. They depersonalized it. They had to, because it was messing with them, just literally just killing people face to face.
And you see the person's face. You're seeing the look of horror before you actually commit that act. It's going to haunt you.
Well, just regular warfare does that. So generalize so much more.
Well, exactly. Now you've had a generation of really folks that have been in warfare for 20 years. You've had a 20-year war. You've had folks that grew up in war, and they don't know what else. That's why this population, I believe, would rip apart. And it is. I mean, it's not at will. It's ripping apart right now at the seams because, of course, people don't want to go to war. They know that they're going to be going back to war. They don't want to go to war, but they're going to be going back. And when they go back, and as they go back, you're now going to have a lot of people getting triggered. What do they have in another protest, another nationwide protest, fight for liberty or something crazy? This Friday, Saturday, because it's going to be 4th of July weekend. So this is the nonstop things that happen. Now, I'm going to say welcome to the end, but really this is welcome to their end.
Yep, I believe that the time of the Gentiles is up.
I agree.
What is it? The beginning of the end of the beginning is on. It's going to go. It's going downhill. It can't stop. And that parallels to what our people were, because we were fighting against all these forces of prophecy that were against us, and it said no one did lift his head. We couldn't stop it. We had to go through it, and they're in that same situation.
Yeah, and it's just like these people that want us to come out in the streets and help them and protest. Listen, we did that. That is over. Y'all had a chance to align with us, like we was aligning with you, and for righteousness, basically for everybody. No, as long as we was out there getting cracked upside the head and being arrested, it was all good. When everything went through as far as legislation and everybody getting their goods, we was put back at the back of the line. Well, no, we're not doing that anymore.
They want some more Hebrew blood to sanctify the land.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's it. God said that's it. Your time is up. And chasing them down just like they used to chase down a runaway slave. You understand? It's hilarious watching them at Home Depot and on these farms and having the slave catchers running them down and locking them up.
Well, that would be the descendants of the Spanish and the Portuguese, especially, and some of the main people that followed the dictates of Rome. So the originators are like getting it first.
So
reversing.
So that's what I was thinking. So think about this. Imagine you have an edict from the UN that could authorize or legalize slavery in the United States.
Authorized slavery in the United States.
They wouldn't call it slavery, of course, but they could also authorize something that we are accustomed to, and we
criminal
understood.
labor.
Hey, brother Karras.
Peonage.
Hey, brother Karras, let me ask you a question. Do you remember what number 47 said when he wanted to stop some of these deportations for some of these farms, and he said you would be responsible for them?
I heard that.
That was code wording that you're going to be their slave master and they're going to be a slave.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to listen and pay attention to everything these devils say. Don't let nothing fly over your head. Everything they say they do it's subliminal or there's some code wording behind it. There's a different meaning behind it.
Because where are they at? Because I can tell you that's here in Florida. I can tell you that. You want to know what they're going to be doing? Yeah, you can take a chance and leave the premises. But if you get caught as an illegal, that's going to be on you.
So that's going from slavery to serfdom, because the serf is tied to the land.
Yep.
The slave is owned by an owner, but a serf is tied to the land. So you can't leave the land, which is what they want to keep us here.
What is it? No, and that's not but that's on them. That's on them.
So then what would they have to do?
We're now talking about the illegals. If you're illegal, right? What they're trying to do is they're trying to consolidate them to the land. Yes, they're trying to put the illegals into that consolidated effort. So you came on over, you came over the border, you came over the fence to live the American dream, but then it's, well, I have to now provide for you. I got to provide the shelter, and now you have to rent here, and I got to provide here on this land here.
So, Brother Karras, what is that?
It's a plantation.
That's the slave quarters, right?
I'm providing sanctuary for you here.
That's the slave quarters.
So yeah, it's slave quarters. They voluntarily came right into slavery because they can voluntarily leave. I got enough for my flight to at least voluntarily leave.
And the U.S. has made it so messed up in your country that you come here in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So they get the cheap labor. So, so unless your country does what the Sahel states have done, then you got nowhere to go to. So yeah, that's why this is the land of opportunity, because of the hell the U.S. made in your home country. So they got to go on both sides.
Yeah. So and again for them, all right, I'm going to stay. So now they're going to be a generation of voluntary slavery. Remember, that was part of the whole Department of Education where, even the children can work with their parents. They
And
don't
now
have
they can't
to worry
send
about
money
getting an
back home.
education. Exactly. They don't have to be voluntarily well, you send the kids on over, then the kids, what? They're at risk of deportation. Because where'd they come from?
Listen, their kids gonna have that little. You ever see the little 2-year-old with the sack picking cotton? You ever see that picture? Well, that's what the kids is gonna be doing. Remember, they get double what they gave us. So that means their children is gonna be in the cotton in the fields picking and servicing.
But Brother Yacoba, I thought that the Native Americans and the Hispanics and everybody, that's Jacob's trouble, right?
I mean, I didn't catch that one.
The camps are really trying to push that this is Jacob's trouble because their narrative falls apart. It blows up.
Yeah, they shouldn't be going through this right now, should they?
Yeah, they attached all those people, they gave out Negro cards to unauthorized people. So
they got out Hebrew cards.
They got to revoke them.
Their black card is being revoked.
Tatiana says the Northern Tribes. Okay.
Yeah. Northern Tribes was getting free money, free housing, free whatever, and they was laughing at us.
Yes, they were. Excuse me.
Well, all those blacks
funny now.
All those black when convenient folks are getting messed up, and that the tribes took on. And by the way, Kobe, ain't no 400-year prophecy. Hashtag.
That's what I keep telling them. Ain't no 400-year prophecy.
Hey, Yacob, I got my T-shirt.
Yeah, we're about to be wearing them shirts.
Hey, listen, that's how we gonna recognize each other. Everybody had their T-shirt.
Yep. Yep.
Well, you better not have listen, Brother Yacob, just don't have the shirt. You better have a flag. You better have a flag so folks know to recognize. You can see this flag right here. If you get deported first, look for the flag.
I'm just hoping they don't try to send one of those drones after my butt, right?
The mosquito drones, those mosquito drones. What was that? Man, that's not even funny. I'm sorry, that's not even funny.
I agree, it's not funny.
Well, I mean,
I'll be looking at everything flying here in Florida with all the mosquitoes, all them bugs. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, that was predictive programming. Skynet is real. We got Skynet going around. Hey, it is what it is.
Well, the scripture said they're going, even when we leave here, they're still going to target us. They're going to come for us.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Without Yeshua, we have no win. I'm telling you.
Nope. That's where it's at right now. We just waiting on the Most High because we can't win this thing. Because technically we didn't lost, right? We didn't lost already, but the Most High can't lose. So We just waiting on him.
Now this will be interesting. This is what Rose M says. She says, breaking news. Yeah, Trump did state that Elon could deport Elon Musk. Trump could.
Yeah, he could also deport his wife.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, he could.
Well, you know, now that is the definition of a stateless individual, because South Africa wait for him. They revoked everything here, so they put him on South Africa. At least the black folks in South Africa. I don't know about the Afrikaners, but the black South Africans would have him on a boat somewhere in the middle of the ocean.
Nah, they're gonna say you want to be African so bad, get you behind the Sudan. He went from billionaire to sitting in Sudan.
I think Elon's check is big enough for South Africa to be, welcome back home, Elon.
Yeah, unfortunately.
If he's an illegal alien, if he's a legal alien, Trump can say, we got to seize all those funds. Trump will seize it.
And that money he got as long, and in South Africa is even. I was just watching this program about this Hebrew that moved to South Africa, and what she got for her house. I mean, she said you could spend $2 to $3 million in the States for what she paid for her house.
Oh yeah, they living large out there.
What? In the Elon
blasted house.
Well, look what they did to us in Portugal and Spain. In order to stay there, when we're still trying to stay there, well, you can stay, but you got to pay this, and you got to pay that. And they still deported us, but they stripped us of the money and the assets there, trying to stay there before they deported us. So hey,
come on, that's
playbook.
That is interesting because we gave up all our wealth, gave up all our houses. They kicked us out, put us into slavery, sent us to Sao Tome, all these places. And then here, I can see that happening here, right? I can see them giving up their houses. Because remember, Klaus Schwab said you're going to own nothing and be happy. So how is everyone going to lose all their wealth? It's coming to us. Because the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we can't lose. We just have to be patient and just not look at, everything that we're seeing and get all anxious and rattled. Just get your popcorn. Because if the Most High said it, that settles it. He said, we leave here with great substance. So that's it. And you're absolutely right, Brother Jacob. We are going to flee. Now, what does flee mean for some people? Well, if you read what flee means, it says to run in terror. So if you have the opportunity to leave now, you should take advantage of that.
I mean, look at what happened to the Rev 290 and 39 in modern Israel, right? And they had to flee. But our people think we're not going to have to flee.
Right, exactly.
You realize they're still fleeing now. They're still leaving in this ceasefire or the cessation.
Well, let's run the commercial for Q2UA. Get out there, get in the advanced party. Help build up the infrastructure. Get ready for the influx because their people are coming. Like the Most High said in Ezekiel 36, old mountains of Africa. Get the place ready, and Jacob gonna be selling maps. Well, this is where the actual is. You're looking for the way to Zion. Well, it's right here.
Nah, Jacob don't sell maps because if we sell maps to our people, they're gonna put y'all on social media and say you did fraud and stole from them and stuff. I don't deal with our people like that.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's how they got Garvey.
We volunteer here at over at Q2UA. It's volunteer. It's a charity. It's a 501c3. With that charity, this is what we're doing. We are sending out that container. That container is in transit right now. It is in transit right now. Now it made it over the Atlantic. It just had to go the reverse transatlantic slave trade route. It had to do the reverse. I kid you not. I think that's so funny. When I'm able to release those details. That's funny. But this is something that has opened up tremendous doors for the community. Both here as the Hebrew Israelite community and our brothers and sisters at large. And there's something to say about that, because when I was discussing this, and I want to bring this on as if I can get Sister Shar on, because we were having this discussion, and I want her to kind of speak to that. We actually have all waken up. We have actually all awoken, right? However, in our awakening, we actually woke up to a couple of different groups. And what we're doing, we're now getting ready to reason amongst ourselves, because some groups have this, some groups have that, and some groups have other things. So it's kind of like, it's the craziest, the funniest thing about that. And I wanna do this live. I want to get Sister Shar on this, and she's gonna be saying, Brother Karras, why you put me on out there? Because it's your idea, Sister Shar. I'm not gonna steal your idea. I'm not gonna steal your stuff. So, but the way it is, it was like, that is true. Here within our group, we are literally the brain trust capacity of governance. Other groups have other capacities. And that is literally the favor that the Most High has given on us to innovate and govern. However, technically speaking, we have to be supported by our other brothers and sisters, and they call on themselves in different names. We just know the governorship because why? Because we're doing the kingdom work. It's not literally that it's the king. This is the kingdom. So when we're doing the kingdom work, we're actually responding in a different manner than our other brothers and sisters. So it's, I'll have to get into that teaching, and I'll need to set that on up for a time that will work for Sister Shar. But it's funny because when I'm seeing all of these things happening, especially in the background, Minister Yacoba knows what's going on. He understands what's going on. He sees what's going on. But I'm telling you, the doors and the opportunities that have just been flinging open, that's why I say, hey, I need folks at NeoDiplomacy.com. I got to train you. I have to train you. Because of all these opportunities, it's begetting other opportunities. And it's not that they don't want us to work over there. They're begging us. But there are mechanisms of how we have to come over to then support them in the way that they need to be supported, because when you support them, guess what you're doing? You're supporting yourself. When you support them, you're literally empowering yourself. Because do you know that what they have and have been exposed to is what they have said about us? So now we have to come through and say, all right, I know they said all this craziness, but let me tell you what the real deal is. And this is what's happening over in West Africa right now. And we're not here as a group to just socialize and being humdrum and, well, we're not here just standing around pontificating and debating. To debate. That time is over with. We're here doing a work. So I need doers. And I just don't need doers. I need workers, and I need folks that are here to then voice and signify the work, to witness to the work, to understand the work, to provide those engagements and those interactions for our people that understand the engineering aspects and all other aspects to support the work. But first things first, yes, continue to support the Container Fund. I have that here in the link in the chat. My NeoDiplomacy Summer Cohort for my Corps, the Corps Summer Cohort is getting ready to graduate in less than a month. 12 weeks. 12 weeks. And I can say that 12 weeks, we've already finished up week 9. We're about to do week 10 this week. And it's been not just a blessing for them. Boy, it's been a blessing for me. Because of all the things that the Most High has literally opened up in tandem. You can't make it up. And as doors open up and things move forward, I have people that can then do things on my behalf. Because we have the engagement, we have the spaces. But we have to understand how we provide the linkages to bring everything back home and vice versa. So this is where we're at on this. There we go. We have to go through, we have to target our youth in these schools. We have to target our young men and women. We have to give them an actual hope. Because it's not our hope. It's what the Most High has already said. He's already declared. So the container does a lot. And understand, family, when you see the container delivered, guess what? Then we got to kick off another container drive. And this time for Niger and Mali. But then you'll start to see how big and how important this is. To where two sticks are literally coming together. And we're coming together the right way. So with that, anybody have any final thoughts, final words? I had to come through and deliver that.
Well, I'll just go and say, just be aware. The 4th of July, a lot of stuff's supposed to happen. There's a biological event like Event 201 during the time of the lollipop time, and so there's a lot of stuff that's happening. And then the the recent, I don't know if y'all heard about it, the terrorist attacks that happened, like the the firefighters who got sniped. Did y'all hear about those? And
yeah,
the Amazon bus that exploded. So I would say be careful. I would recommend that y'all don't go nowhere on the 4th, but if y'all do, y'all best be cautious because these are dangerous times. So we'll see what happens. Love y'all. Peace. Check y'all out.
Brother Yakoba.
All right. Thank you, Brother Yakoba.
You're welcome.
I'll go next. Just family, keep your head on the swivel. You know, this is a time for repentance and obedience. You know, and for us loving on each other. All hands on deck when it comes to supporting each other and not allowing anything to come between us. You know, and stay away from these raging heathens. Shalom. I gone.
All right. Thank you, Brother Eric.
I'll say my piece. Thank you for having me on again. I'm sorry I've been in. Was that sound coming from me?
I think it was. I think it was.
All right, yeah. So I had one of those, you know, those neck fan things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like really hot here right now. It's like 90, almost 94 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah.
It's hot. We're not used to this. I keep telling you, when it gets hot like this, we're like, so yeah, I'm really sorry about that. Yeah, thank you for having me on. And I just, it's really weird. Like, I can't keep up with the amount of things that's going on, not just worldwide, but just where you are. It's crazy. Just listening to Brother Yakoba just saying, you know, this is happening and that's happening, and you know, stay in your house. And I think that's a good policy to have, really, to be honest. And then Brother Eric saying stay away from these raging heathens. I think that's what he says, or Gentiles or whatever. But I agree with him on that as well. It's like, it's not the time for fellowshipping, and it's not the time for fellowshipping while they're calling for us to come to them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're calling for us to come to them and calling for us to we need to you know, we need to come together. We need to like, no, this is the time when the Most High said, be ye separate, leave, flee. Yes, before you flee physically, you need to flee mentally, spiritually, emotionally. We need to emotionally detach from these people, and they will call us every name under the sun, like they have begun doing, saying, oh, how could you, you have no heart, and you're this and you're that. And that's just another tactic for them, name calling and trying to trigger an emotion to get us to do what they want us to do, as opposed to what we need to do, what is best and right and just for for us and to the Most High. Because even though a lot of our people don't understand what is really going on and see the spiritual implications of this, that this is them coming at us, and this is the Most High removing us from them. That's why so many of our people are literally saying, yeah, we're done, we're sitting quiet. And even though we're sitting out, doesn't necessarily mean that we're not busy. The problem that they have is, like you said, they want our bodies. But it's not only that, it's the fact that what terrifies them more isn't the fact that we're not physically there, because we could be there helping them in terms of organizing these things. What terrifies them more than that, more than our absence, our physical absence, is the fact that our version of protesting is literally being about us. Literally what Psalms 109 says, that they for our love we have become their enemies. They hate us now because we are loving ourselves, and through loving ourselves we also love the Most High, because this is brotherly love. It is the brothers reaching out and coming together and establishing that relationship that they separated, and profit off of that separation. So yeah, I agree with Yakoba, and I agree with Eric. It's not time for this. Like, if when the dust settles and there's a few of them that are like, yeah, we're coming with you, we're for you, then that's fine. Come. Because when we move, just move with us. If you're gonna be like one of those chicks in these scary movies that trip over a piece of twig and expect that we're gonna turn around and say no, just move with us, because we're not trying to go backwards. That's done and dusted. But yeah, thank you for having me on, Karis, and Minister Rick. I pray that you have a good day, and the rest of everybody in the chat, I pray that you have a good day. Be safe and be mindful of everything. Thank you.
Hello. I guess I'm on. I'll be brief. Those of us who are of our Hebrew Israel community, our default baseline is the blood covenant. But make sure you renew and restore that covenant through the Messiah, a covenant with the Messiah that will allow the Ruach HaKodesh and the law to be written in your heart, so you can become one of the elect, that this deception, that if it were possible, will fool the very elect, will not fool you. And you can ferret through all this information. And at that point, and which we should be anyway, it talks about our duty, the whole law summed up, to love the of our Yah, the Most High, with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor. And in the context of that neighbor, he's talking about love your people, love your Hebrew Israelite, love your brothers. You know, it's the covenant hadn't been extended to the Gentiles at that point. So we have to love each other and operate in the love of the Most High, and the love of our neighbors, and operate our nation and be that nation that can be built in a day. And I'll land on that. And we will get through this situation. Our families will get through, and we will go participate in Exodus and fulfill the will of the Most High for our lives.
Hallelujah. Thank you, brother. Brother Rick, Minister Rick, I appreciate it. And I sent you the email the other day for you.
Okay, it's going to come in under your COBA or Q2UA. I'll look for it. I mean, it's going to come in the Karis.
It's coming from Q2UA. It's coming from Q2UA.
I'll find it.
Okay. All right. All right. Shalom.
Shalom.
All right. Well, family, to say that we're living in some unprecedented times, to say the least, there are ways that you can get involved. We're always looking for people to come through and help support the mission at Q2UA by visiting Q2UA.org. That's Q2UA.org. We have a container on the way. We're getting the ground portion taken care of, so we need your support there. Now, if you didn't know, and this will have to be another one, because now they're admitting that the U.S. dollar is is having its worst run in terms of the foreign exchange. Everything is really coming to a head. But this is what happens. Welcome to the end, folks. But really, welcome to our beginning. Their end is our beginning. So now's the time that we need to support and persevere as we understand this goal that folks can hide, folks can try to ignore, and that's fine. You can hide, you can ignore, but guess what? When two, one shall be kept and one shall be taken. Maybe that needs to say one shall be kept and one shall be deported. I'm just saying. Also, right now, NeoDiplomacy, we have that. I'm going to extend that sale for the summertime rate. I'm going to extend it till July 15th. I'm going to extend it till July 15th. That will be the last. That will be the last time. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks to save $1,500 on the NeoDiplomacy course. And then it will go to its fall rate for the fall course. That fall course will start on September 14th. So, again, thank you for your prayers and your support, because a lot of things are moving in the background. And family, I wish I could tell you all of these doors that are being opened. But again, just as many of our people that are here that are supporting this channel, we also have people from other communities that want to destroy what we're doing. So if you'd like to learn more, if you'd like to understand what's happening, please sign up at q2a.org. Please become a volunteer, and please stay informed. That's why we were trying to tell you this. We've been in warfare. Now they're just intensifying and ratcheting up the warfare. Part of being war and part of warfare is displacing non-combatants or combatants, even when you think you're a non-combatant. Or just know a little bit of what's happening with NeoDiplomacy by visiting neodiplomacy.com. For $27, you get to do a mini course to understand what's happening. You will not be disappointed. And it's something that you can also let folks be aware of. This is how we support one another, because the work is being done. And part of that, and why I have to wrap up at 10:30 and I'm running a little late, is because I'm doing work in the background during those times. So I need to get to work for you all, and you all have a blessed and highly favored day. Remember, walk in your power and your authority that you all have been given when you call on the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. This is the time where the light of the Gentiles, or excuse me, the light of the nations, the light of the nations that the Gentiles see, this is where they're going to come through. Gentiles, if you're listening, you better tell other Gentiles it's getting ready to happen. Because here's the thing. We're past telling. Trump is now doing. And usually that trap that is set for others ends up causing the same person that's setting that trap to fall into it. That's how the Most High works. Don't fall into that trap. Hallelujah. Thank you, Max. Says, as a Mexican Gentile, prefer to serve the Hebrews. Hallelujah. Well, let your people know, because it's not looking too good for a lot of folks on out here. no matter the disposition of where you're on at. So with that said, family, I gotta get going with that. Shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom. Peace and blessings, Yasharel.